This is going to be far the most amount of game I've ever given in one single piece of content since I started my YouTube, fellas. Right? For those that don't know, it was a time and point in my life where I was beating my dick every single day. I hated what I saw in the mirror. I was broken, depressed. I was sleeping on the motherfucking floor with the cockroaches. Looked in the mirror and hated what I saw. Chicks was playing me to the left. Every chick that I wanted would friend zone me and tell me, oh, I'm such a great guy. Baby, if I'm such a great guy, why won't you fuck me? Right? Jobs letting me go, making me feel like I wasn't enough. My family telling me I was a failure, going through it all, and I decided to hit the gym, right? And transform myself physically. But what that did is it allowed me to transform myself internally as well, or at least know how to do so. Because the gym teaches you consistency, persistency, delayed gratification, routine, right? Discipline. All things that can be further duplicated in other realms to make yourself exceptional, like the physique that I have now, right? But on top of getting my physique, I started reading and studying, not only individuals, but books, individuals that wrote exceptional books, right? And books that studied a lot of the traits, ideologies, and habits that a lot of these 1% individuals in different realms had. And I started to study it, but not just study it, implement it. And I've made countless videos on this books, right? Gave you guys countless game on the atomic habits, right? The rational males, the think and grow rich, the be obsessed and be average, right? And all of those trajected me to be, physically fit and get to the point where I'm at now, right? To escape my 9 to 5. But as far as the books that are going to traject me to my number one standard, which is to go from where I'm at now to making 30K a month to making 100K a month, there's certain books that I haven't shared. And the reason being is because I wanted to gatekeep. One thing I had to understand, fellas, is I was put on this earth to help men. And I understand that information isn't the issue, it's implementation, right? So I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it correctly. Because I know the motherfuckers that are truly hungry are going to watch this all the way through and then implement it. And those are the individuals I want to help. I know 99% of you dudes will see the length of this video and click out. Or wait till I'm done talking like this and then click out. This shit isn't for you, brother. Click out now if that's the case. This is, oh, cry, motivate me. No, this is cry, transform me. Cry, transform my mind. Cry, transform my perception. Cry. Let me get the principles that you've adopted to separate yourself from 99% of men that you've never spoken about before. I made a promise the last video I made, fellas, right? It was the book that trajected me to be jacked to make 30K a month, but it was 3 books I didn't cover. One of them was Transsurfing Reality. The next one was How to Get Anything I Want, right? And the last one was my favorite book of all time, The 48 Laws of Powers. I am not gonna explain in-depth, chapter by chapter, principle by principle, everything that I grasped from these books and how I implemented them in my life and how I'm brainwashing myself to go to 30K a month to 100K a month, fellas. Right? And ironically, before I even was hip to this information, I was doing some of these things to brainwash myself from going to the motherfucker. Maybe I am a little jack, but I'm still not getting the chicks that I want. I'm still not making the money that I want. I still got to clock in. I don't have that time and location freedom to do what the fuck I want. Until one day I said, fuck it, let me invest my last, right, into this mentorship and go all in. And I was able to traject myself to make 30K a month. I was already practicing some of these principles. But now that I have the proof of my work ethic, the proof of these principles, I'm going to combine them all together. And I'm going to literally manifest and brainwash myself with the grace of God to turn myself from 30K a month cry to 100K a month cry. But whatever that looks like for you, I want you to do the same. So I'm not sure how long this video is that I'm putting out. I don't know at the time I'm recording this. But if you can't sit through this, brother, you don't have what it takes to be a 1% man. You don't. I used to watch 6-hour courses, 7-hour courses, right? My mentorship, John Mark Steve just dropped a 12-hour course to select individuals. And I thought about doing that as well, but I said, you know what? The right individuals will watch this all the way through, and those are the individuals that I want to help. I would do anything to have the information I have now 3 years ago. I would do anything to be able to watch this course that I'm giving to you right now for free. There's motherfuckers charging for this information, fellas. I'm giving you the step-by-step breakdown, not only that, but how I implemented these principles and how I'm going to continue to implement these principles to make myself the man that I'm going to be, right? So, if you can't watch this all the way through, watch half and watch the rest tomorrow. Watch an hour, watch the second hour and watch the third hour the next day. Whatever you got to do. If you can sit down all the way through, play it. If you at work, play it and have your phone out ready to take notes as well. But I promise you there's nobody else in the self-improvement space that's going to give you this information that I'm giving you today in one free course. I love y'all boys and I want to see y'all win. It's fucking June at the time I'm recording this video. When are you going to start taking action to being the man that you want to be? What I'm trying to tell you right now, fellas, is I have less than 110 days to retire my mom, drive a Lamborghini Urus, and make 100K a month. I will do it, but I won't be able to do it without understanding the principles that I'm about to share with you today. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time, fellas. Let's get right into it. All right, fellas, welcome back to another 1% Reads module. This is going to be a phenomenal one. This is my favorite book of all time. I don't know if you guys can see me, but The 48 Laws of Power, I got it right here. And this is by my favorite author of all time, Robert Greene. He's also, created the books, obviously, The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, The Laws of Human Nature, The Art of War. Probably one of the best authors, if not the best author of this generation. And I always recommend Atomic Habits as the first book you should read on your journey to be a 1% man. But I think Atomic Habits was, the most important book, but this is by far my favorite. Just because this book, fellas, is stuff that you can't Google, and the stuff that obviously I know you guys are if you're watching this, but when you study in the daily reads of this and you rewatching this module or whatever the case may be, or rereading a book, and you're applying it, you truly are separating yourself from other men, especially internally. So obviously, this book is a little different. It doesn't go by chapters, it goes by laws. Robert Greene does a phenomenal job of not only explaining the laws, but also giving you real life examples and stories that go with each of the laws. And this book has changed my life, fellas. Like this book, I got a couple of the laws tatted on me. I got law 3, 24, and 30 tatted on me. So when we get to those laws, you'll know like, wow, those are the laws that really resonate with Cry. But really all of these laws, man, some of it is a little dark. Some of it is not that dark, but all in all, fellas, like I said, every single module, study the daily reads, the days that you need to, if need be. If there's 100 notes, study 7 each day, 7 Monday, 7 Tuesday, whatever the case may be. And good leaders are good repeaters. Watch these modules back to back to back to back until the information sticks. But without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it, fellas. So the first law that we're going to speak about today is to, let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Perfect. Okay. Is to never outshine the master, right? So always make those above you feel superior. It's a game within a game. If your desire is to impress them, don't show off too much or you might inspire fear and insecurity from them. Make them feel more brilliant than they are and you will attain heights of power, right? One thing you got to understand about this game, fellas, is the most successful people and higher up people are the most insecure people. In fact, their success is mirrored due to their insecurities. They became ultra hyper successful because they were extremely insecure. I've seen it and I've heard it plenty of times. Even if you look at myself, fellas, I'm not super successful, but I never have to work a job again, make 30 to 30K a month as I'm recording this vid. Really in shape, I can attract the woman that I want, whatever the case may be. All of me getting to the place that I am now, fellas, is due to massive insecurity, right? So what this law is telling you is that when you're working for people above you, right, never try to show them up or try to basically like outsmart them, because you're not gaining anything from that, right? You will gain more by praising them, especially in corporate America. Like if you want to raise, always like praise and compliment, those above you. Right. This law also talks about literally you're not gaining anything from showing off the people ahead of you. Instead, you are posing as a threat. People in power are usually insecure. Right. If you can make someone in power shine in front of others, you will be promoted. Right. So like this happened to me in corporate America, fellas. Like I used to be in recruitment and we had like this district manager. And it's interesting that like the higher up you get, the less work you do, which is another story for a different day. But basically, he would get something from his manager. He would get like the areas where, we needed to hire phlebotomists. And then he would basically have those areas and then spread them out to the recruiters, right? And the areas he gave me at that specific time, I filled really, really quickly compared to the other recruiters. And it was something that we call code red. So that basically means is that it's a high priority requisition that we needed to fill. And I filled it really, really fast. So when I filled it really, really fast, he assigned me another one and I filled that one fast, right? And this allowed me to get a raise. But fellas, now that I hip on the game now, back then I wasn't. I got a raise because he got a raise, right? I made him look so good that they gave him a raise. It was like, wow, we just gave you this and you already had your recruiters fill it this fast. That goes to a testament to you. And in reality, it really wasn't to him. It was just me working really hard. Like nothing he did that trajected me to do that. He just assigned me the requisition. However, I made him look good, so he made me look good, right? So this is extremely powerful, especially in corporate America, right? Law number 2, a big one, fellas. Never put too much trust into friends. Learn how to use enemies, right? Be careful of friends. They are easily aroused to envy. You have more to fear with friends than enemies. When you give your friends or close ones too much power or access, they will turn on you or take place against you. Stay discreet. I couldn't agree with this more, fellas. I'm an individual. The reason that my friendships work so well, fellas, is because one, I don't tell my friends everything, and I don't spend too much time around my friends. This isn't with friends. This is really with anybody. But this is something I really grasped in this book, and it goes even more in depth in other laws. But fellas, like, it doesn't matter what the dynamic of the relationship is. If you spend too much time around anybody, you get tired of them, right? That's one side of the coin. And one thing you also got to understand is that, sometimes your friends will be envious, man. You ever heard that you'll get more support from a stranger than you will a friend? That's it's a lot of truth in that. A lot of the times we'll get the least amount of support from the people that know us the most. And most of the time it's because they spend the most time around us and they don't want to see an individual that's cut from the same cloth, or territory as them that's doing better than them. Right. So this law just says be careful of that. It also speaks about to never hire a friend. Keep friends, and hire and work with the most skilled and competent. I couldn't agree more, right? Two ways. One is from the managerial side, you're looking at your friend like, yo, you my dog, you got to go all in. You should be working harder because you're my friend. But from the friend side, they're looking at it as like, oh, this my dog, I don't got to work as hard. You much more just keeping the business relationship a business relationship and hiring a stranger if you're in that position right now than hiring a friend. I couldn't agree more, right? Without enemies, we grows lazy. An enemy at our heels sharpens us and keep us focused and alert. So this one thing that I love about this book, at each law, it gives the polar opposite of the law. And basically it was just saying that, contrary to, popular belief, we need enemies because they keep us sharp, right? Law number 3, one of my favorite laws. I believe this is one of the laws I got tatted on me, fellas, right? Conceal your emotions. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If people have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare defense, right? 1,000%. And this is so important, fellas, not only in business, but most importantly with women. And it goes into depth. I'll read it to you. A woman wants to see that you can pull and attract other women and instantly gives you value at a man. It's important to be unpredictable with women. Always keep them guessing and don't give them too much attention and validation. When you do, make sure it's rare so they appreciate it more. I couldn't agree more, fellas. Too much circulation makes the price go down. If we ate our favorite ice cream every day, we wouldn't like it. It's the same thing with emotions and with women. If you're telling a woman every single day, "Oh my God, baby, I love you," she's gonna get tired of hearing it. Not because like like you said it different, but because like she's heard it 30 days prior. You say it every day, right? So this is telling you to conceal your attention sometimes and just, don't always give women attention and validation as well. Make women work for attention and validation. Right? You got to think, fellas, especially in today's economy, every woman has every guy in their DM sliding up with hard eyes or saying, "Can I get your number?" Or "When we gonna link up?" And when you don't do that, you're different from other guys. That separates you, especially if you're checking every single C or working towards doing so, and you're a charismatic, well put together young man. It's gonna work wonders for you, fellas. And I can speak from experience, right? It also speaks about you cannot announce your intentions or reveal them directly with words. Instead, you must throw your targets off with confusing them. Hence, you are interested, and hint, you are not interested. These patterns confuse and excite women. Like I just said, I couldn't agree more. With women, any emotion is better than boredom of security. Bad emotions sometimes lead to great results with women. This is facts, fellas. You will make a woman, and I don't mean to make this. I mean, this book is about. I would say it's the psychology of business and intersexual dynamics in a way. But with this law specifically, fellas, one thing you got to understand is the best way to make a woman get attached to you is to indirectly diss her. It sounds weird, but this law validated it. I'll try to think of an example. I'll give you an example. So when you meet a girl, when I was a nice guy, I used to think if I'm talking to other girls and I meet a girl and she asks me if I'm talking to other girls, I gotta lie and say no because like that's a red flag. Like why would she want to know I'm talking to other girls? She's gonna stop talking to me. When really it was the best thing I could have did, and it was me indirectly telling her like, baby, you're not the only one trying to be the only one. I have other options, right? It also speaks about most people are easy to read because it's easy and natural to blurt out intentions or plans for the future. It takes effort and discipline to control your tongue and monitor what you reveal. Don't be most people. This is a fact. If you just go in social environments, fellas, and it talks about this more in depth, and How to Win Friends and Influence People talks about this as well. But people just want attention and validation from themselves. It's very, very attractive when people can't figure you out, man. Like if you go to a social event, you'll notice, fellas, everybody is just bragging about their accomplishments or what they have going on or their kids, their job, but very little can just, sit, listen, speak when they're spoken to, and answer questions when they're asked, right? But very little people can just not blurt out emotions and conceal their intentions, right? What this chapter also talks about, or this law also talks about, fellas, is that being honest and open at all times makes you predictable and familiar, which allows you to never be filled. When you are feared, you are not respected. I couldn't agree more. Concealing your intentions is not always staying silent. You can throw decoys of what is not your real intentions just so you don't seem weird for staying silent. So I used to do this in corporate America, fellas. Obviously, I knew that my real standards were to get out of my 9 to 5 and make as much money as I can and be a 1% man. But I probably spent the whole weekend doing that. But on Monday, if you go to the morning meetings on Monday. Everybody asks, "How was your weekend? What did you do?" I used to lie to them motherfuckers, man. Why would I tell y'all that I just made 5 YouTube videos and I was up 16 hours and I was off social media and I was seeking pain? Why the fuck would I tell y'all that? Right? So sometimes it sounds fucked up, fellas, but you got to play the game, especially in corporate America. It doesn't have to be staying silent when concealing your emotions. Just throw them off be like, "Oh yeah, I spent time with my girl." Just say some shit like that. They don't need to know everything, right? Which leads me to the next law, fellas, right? Always say less than necessary, right? I had fucking AI create this smart boy. That's why the arrows is off, right? But always say less than necessary, right? So what this means is when you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear and the less you are controlled. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish. When you say less than necessary, you always appear more powerful. Your silence will make people uncomfortable. Humans are machines of interpretation, meaning they will always want to hear what someone is thinking. When you control what you reveal, people cannot grasp your intentions. Short answers and silences put people on the fence, which makes people jump in nervous, and filling in sentences and comments will reveal their weakness. Once words are spoken, you cannot take them back. It's better just to be silent and let people wonder. I couldn't agree more. Fellas, you want to this book got so much game, and I'm gonna give you a like business and networking example, and I'm gonna give you an example with a chick. I'll start with the chick. The first time you sleep with a chick, fellas, after, don't say nothing. Don't be like, "Oh my gosh, that was so good. Oh, I can't wait to see you again." Like, just don't say nothing. And watch how the chick acts. She gonna be asking you, "Oh my God, how was it? Oh my God, did you like it? X, Y, and Z." Because she just wants you to say something to validate that it was good, right? Now, in business or networking, right? Not business and networking, but more so like in not intersocial dynamics, but just social dynamics. If you're at an event or with friends or whatever the case may be, and you're out at dinner, I've done this before. I sat at dinner, fellas, and I just listened to everybody, right? I just listened to everybody talk, and we were talking about sports or something, right? And it got to a point where 2 people at the table asked me for my opinion. Now, you're probably like, "Crowd, who gives a fuck?" No, brother, they asked me for my opinion because I didn't say nothing the whole time. And when I spoke, fellas, my words were felt. When I spoke, everybody was silent and they were listening. But the reason being is because everybody else was just blurting out, saying blah, 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 whatever they wanted to say. And my words had power at that point because I'm not matching everybody else. Now, I want to draw a line with this. This doesn't mean be socially awkward and just sit there like a dweeb. But in certain instances, fellas, always say less than necessary. Always, right? Law number 5, one of my favorite ones. So much depends on your reputation. Guard it with your life, right? People judge off appearances more than anything. Look your best. This is the starting point of your reputation. I've made countless videos on this, fellas. Looks aren't everything, but looks matter. They're the first barrier of entry. Before a person knows how much money you make, your personality, your character, your morals, and the principles that you stand on as a man, they're judging you based on how you look. If I walk into a gas station like this, and then I walk back out, and then I walk back in with a suit, not psychologically, but internally, that person is going to judge me differently just by what I have on. And part of your reputation, especially in business, is presenting yourself in the best light, right? What this book also talks about is a solid representation increases your appearance and exaggerates your strength without spending too much energy. It also can create an aura around you that would demand respect. I think of this like celebrities, right? So like, none of us, maybe some of you do. Most of you guys don't have a personal relationship with LeBron James. We don't know him. Yet we've heard everything, and we see how he presents himself, and we've heard about his greatness. That if he was in our vicinity, we would have so much respect for him already, based on our perception of him, of other people's opinions of him. That's what that dynamic means, right? When your reputation demands respect, a lot of the work is done for you before you even say a single word. Same example with LeBron. LeBron walk in the room, it's not much you got to say. I'm LeBron. You know what I'm saying, right? When you're trying to clean your reputation, you should surround yourself with people who have identity you wish to acquire. I couldn't agree more. I'm not in a position where I ever had to clean up my reputation, but it makes sense. If you're if you get out of jail and you was before jail, you was tweaking, but when you get out of jail, you hanging around 1% individuals, whatever the case may be, people are going to think, oh, how did this motherfucker that had a fucked up life before he went to jail get around these motherfuckers? Oh, he must be a new man. He must be providing new value, whatever the case may be. So I totally agree with that, man. Law number 6, one of my favorite laws. Now, this is with business, fellas. Court attention at all costs. Again, everything is judged by its appearance, and what's unseen counts for nothing. Stand out and be conspicuous at all costs. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, and more mysterious than the majority of the people. I'll give you an example with me and with business, fellas. If you watch my videos, what is a common theme in all of my videos? I either got a white beater on or a shirt off. Why is that? Because I'm fucking jacked. Now, the 1% Academy isn't just a fitness program, but the foundation of it is fitness and nutrition. Me showing my physique is proof of concept. I've made videos where I talked about the same exact thing. One video I had my shirt off, one video I didn't. And the video where I had my shirt off did well. That's just the name of the game, brother. Sex sells, and I understand that as a business owner. So me being an in-shape individual, why the fuck would I ever cover up my muscles in a YouTube video? It doesn't make any sense to me. Drawing attention by creating an unforgivable, even controversial image is better than be slandered or attached or ignored. So I love this because a lot of people think negativity, especially in business, really is a bad thing. It's not. I've had reels go viral because the comments were negative. I've had reels go viral because the comments were positive. I've had reels go viral because of both. It really doesn't matter, right? Court attention at all costs within business. To create and gain an audience, you must do something different and odd. Never be afraid of the qualities that set you apart and draw attention to you. I used to be an individual who did this, fellas. I used to think that if I walked into a place of guys that weren't in shape, that I need to cover my muscles to make them feel more secure. Fuck that. Fuck that. I put in the work to look the way I do. Never be afraid of the qualities that set you apart and draw attention to you. Ever. Right? Lastly, fellas, in contrast with this law, never appear overly greedy for attention. It signals for insecurity, and insecurity drives power away, right? So the purest form of this, I think, is like with women, like when women are just overly greedy for attention, like us men, we hate that. Like, it's much more attractive to me as a woman if you like the quiet one in the corner, but you look phenomenal. You're not really saying too much. You only speak when you're spoken to. And when you are spoken to, you keep it real short and maybe even a little mean. That's what's attractive to me personally with women. But that's what I got from that law, fellas. And this is one of my favorite laws. But let's move into law 7. Shit. Right? Get others to do the work for you. Now, this is where it gets a little dark, fellas. Some of this stuff is dark, but I mean, some stuff in life that's dark or that's real is dark, right? So what this law talks about, fellas, is to use wisdom, knowledge, and resources of other people to further your own cause. Not only will it save you valuable time and energy, but it will also give you an aura of efficiency and speed. I've been the barrier of this on both sides, fellas. Like, I've seen people do whiteboard videos because they saw a crowd doing whiteboard videos that I don't know from a can of paint, but I know that they support my content, right? I've seen people say things that I've said in videos, right, but don't give me any of the credit, and vice versa. I've said things in videos that I've heard Alex Hormozi say, and I've never said I got this from Alex Hormozi, right? So what this is saying is get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit, right? It literally says in this law, in the end, your helpers will be forgotten and you will be remembered. Never do for yourself what others can do for you. If you think it is important to do all the work for yourself, you'll never get far. That's another thing, fellas. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to get that motherfucker to spin. If you see an individual that is successful in a specific realm, you'll be dumb not to copy them. Whether it's music, content creation, e-commerce, whatever it is. If there's an individual that has the blueprint and you're not biting them in some way, shape, or form, you don't get any, there's no moral points in business. There's no ethical points in business if you do everything yourself. There's ethical points of business by doing good business and getting your customers, providing your customers a product or a service that's quality. But you don't get any extra brownie points. Oh, I figured this out myself. I was the first person that did this. In business, you don't get that, brother. Right? That's what this law talks about. Learn how to use knowledge of the past and you will look like a genius. You will look like the genius. Fellas, if you listen to my videos, I don't say anything different than Napoleon Hill was saying in Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil. And he wrote those books years ago. But I understand how to use that knowledge and the new technologies and the new adjustments and the new psychology and the new trials and tribulations that men face today due to the society that we're in. I know how to take those lessons he did and apply it to myself and what we're going through and make the best content that I can. Right? So maybe it looks different for you, but that's something I definitely grasped from this law. Right? Law number 8, make other people come to you. Right? Always play the long game rather than the short. Always play for long term rather than short term. Always make your opponent come to you in that war. The person who makes the person come to him appears more powerful and demands respect. One of the things I got from this, fellas, is just if there's some tension with you and a person, just let that person come to you. You know, don't let that person basically think that you're getting under their skin, right? Or don't speak up on the situation first. Now, obviously, there's a thin line with this. If there's people that you love, value, and respect, always communicate and fix those. But in other instances, always make people come to you, right? Law number 9, win through actions, never through argument. This is one of my favorite laws, fellas, right? It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through actions without saying a word. Every man believes he is right, and words will rarely convince him otherwise. I can think of this in prior relationships I've been in with women. I used to tell women, a chick that I was dating, she used to I don't know why the fuck she used to do this shit. She used to like I was raised, fellas, to rinse off the dishes and damn near clean the dishes before you put them in the dishwasher. Like the dishwasher is more so just a sanitizer. Like we're supposed to get the gunk of the dishes off before we put them in. She was never taught that. So she used to throw the dishes in the dishwasher when there was gunk still on them. And I asked her twice to stop doing that. And she didn't want to do it. She thought that her way was right. Until this one time, I believe her parents were over and she was getting them something to drink. And then she grabbed him a cup and it was something in the cup and one of her parents overreacted. Right. And then I looked at her like, well, that's why I tell you to rinse it off. I didn't say too much. I looked at her, but from that point on, she started doing it. Right. So I won that argument through action and not through argument. I could have every single day I saw her do it, be like, babe, what the fuck? But I just let her learn for herself. Right. Which our parents do for us sometimes. At least my dad did this a lot to a certain extent. He would always let me learn through fucking up versus going back and forth with me all the time, right? One thing you got to understand that this law talks about, fellas, is we all believe we are masters in the realm of opinions and reasoning. However, we must be careful and learn to demonstrate the correctness of your ideas indirectly. I've done this for guys in 1% Academy. I had a guy, I'm not going to say his name. We were working on the foundation of his program was coaching, right? And he was about 3 weeks in the program and he wasn't logging his power list. And he was like, yo, Cry, I'm doing everything that I need to do, blah, 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 blah. Like, do I really need to log the power list? Like, I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, well, according to you, brother, you told me when you joined 1% Academy that your way wasn't working. But to each his own, brother. If you think you're better than the power list, stop using the power list. He stopped using it for about a week and a half. And then we got on the next call and he was like, yo, bro, you was right. I'm not doing the things I need to do on a day-to-day basis. I thought I had it, but I don't. Right. So a lot of times, fellas, your actions are more powerful than words. The truth is generally seen, rarely heard. Right. That's something I got from this law. Right. Law number 10, fellas. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Right. I couldn't agree more. You show me your network, I'll show you your net worth. Birds of a feather flock the fuck together. Your 5 friends are your future, brother. You 9 times out of 10, you make the average income of some of the people that you spend the most time with, fellas. Right. All of that concisely goes along with this law. Right. You may feel like you are helping a drowning man, but you are in reality precipitating your own disaster. Right. So what this is powerful, fellas. What this is saying is that you may think you're getting some internal brownie points by helping somebody from drowning, but in reality, you may be increasing the probability that you're going to drown. Right. So what this is telling us is that when we try to help and change people, it ends up changing us negatively. Right. Be careful who you hang around because humans are susceptible to moods, emotions, and even the ways of thinking of those whom we spend our time with. Right, has a direct correlation on the man that we are. If you want to hang around winners, hang around winners. If you want to hang around losers, hang around the losers. This directly correlates me when I used to have this female friend and I love her to death. We're not friends anymore. But that was the longest tenure I've ever had with a friend in my life. And I was always there for her, and but every time she would speak to me, it was so negative. Like she was just always complaining about like things going on with the father of her child or men that she was talking to, whatever the case may be. And it was just so draining once I got off a call with her because I cared about her. I wanted to help her, but it truly had a negative effect on the rest of my day because she wasn't listening to me. Right. And what this is saying, fellas, although it may be a dog, you might have to cut them off, brother, because they're having a detrimental effect on the man that you should be, right? Law number 11, where we at? We this way? Learn to keep people dependent on you. This is with business and in relationships. I'm going to tell you why, right? To maintain your independence, you must also be needed and wanted. The more you are relied on, the more freedom you have. Make people depend on you for their prosperity and their happiness, and you have nothing to fear. Never teach them enough so they can do without you. So if you were OG supporter of mine, but in my last employment opportunity, I talked about, if you go watch the YouTube video, it's called I Just Lost My Relationship and My Job, Raw Reaction. But in that video, when I was talking about my job that I lost, I told you that I knew they was about to let me go because they started asking me how to do stuff, right? Fellas, in business and in corporate America, whatever the case may be, never give the sauce of how you do stuff, because once somebody knows how you do something, they don't need you anymore. They know how to do it, right? They know how to do it. Right? Same thing with women. Like if I was maybe it's a chick watching this. Ladies, if you know how to cook something a certain way, do not teach that nigga how to cook it. Don't teach him. Right? Because then he's like, what do I need Air Force? You already taught me how to cook this. Right? I've had instances, I've taught women how to make content. And they've grown their followers, and then we get into an argument, they out. They're like, what I need this nigga for? He already grew my following. He taught me how to make content. What I need this nigga for? Right? So this teaches you to learn to keep dependent people on you, right? When no one can do what you could do or provide the value you have, you are irreplaceable. Become irreplaceable. This is a good business gym, fellas. Hold on 1 second. This is a code red text. Okay. This is a great business term, fellas, because like in business, and just like I gave you guys with the corporate America one, people don't like, if people can't do what you do, you'll just never get replaced. You'll never get replaced. There's fitness coaches that can get you better results than Cry, right? There's people that are more knowledgeable on books than Cry, whatever the case may be, but you can't duplicate my accountability, my energy, and my attitude towards the powerless and all of the, all of the resources we use. You can't duplicate that, which is why I'll always be in business. Right? There will always be a guy in any of the positions that I used to be in that I can help and provide value to. And I understand my strong points and my strengths that nobody else can replicate. So I'll always be okay. But what does that look like for you? Right? Possess a talent or skill that cannot be replaced. This is powerful, fellas. Right? Law number 12, use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. This is powerful, right? I want you to look, and I hope with all these laws, you're looking at it from both ends. Like, what can I implement and what do I need to stay away from? This is one of those ones you got to look at it from both sides of the coin. Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity will bring down the guard of even the most suspicious people. An act of kindness, generosity is often the most powerful form of distraction because it disarms people to suspicions, right? So I think I had a guy, right, that I met. I'm not going to say any names because he could be watching. I had a guy that I met, and when I met him, really stand-up guy, cool guy, man of God, awesome guy, right? Really cool guy. And when I met him, he gifted me some Alanis, right? Now, most people would just be like, oh, he got me some Alanis, but when he got me this, I was like, what is he going to ask me for later on? It may not be monetary. You know what I'm saying? But that was my mindset. So what this is saying, fellas, is that more times than not, when you give and are generous, you disarm people and it lowers that guard. So you can look at it, fellas. If you're trying to charge somebody in business or in a relationship, gift giving or act of kindness is the number one way to lower that armor. right? And you can look at it from the other side of the coin. If you meet individuals in business or relationships and they're very giving or their act of kindness is super, super early, look at it like, okay, what does this person want? You get what I'm saying? Nobody's that nice and generous, fellas, I promise you, right? Learn to give before you take. It will lighten the ground for when you need to take. First impressions last a long time. If someone believes you are honest from the start, from the first of the relationship, it will convince them a lot to, it will take a lot to convince them otherwise. This is a great law, fellas, right? Next, we get into law 13, right? Appeal to self-interest, right? When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never their mercy or gratitude. So what this says, fellas, is that when you are asking for help, never bring up what you did to help the person in the past. Instead, uncover something that will benefit this person from helping you. Your needs don't matter to people who have more power than you. You must provide some type of value to them when asking for help. No one is that generous, right? So like, this is a great one, man. If basically what this is saying, fellas, if you need help from someone, don't ever, like, let's say like my grandfather, if I think of like individuals who have just done the most for me, it's either my dad or my grandfather. Probably my dad number one, my grandfather number two. But I'm gonna use my grandfather as an example, right? If my grandfather needed something from me, right, and he was following this law, he wouldn't bring up like, oh, cry, remember when I did X, Y, and Z? Can you help me with this? No, he would more so say, hey, can you help me with this? I think it can benefit you as well, X, Y, and Z, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, I'll use me and John Mark for an example. John Mark has done a lot for me business-wise, right? But if John Mark wanted me to reinvest again and like do one of his up and tier mentorships, he wouldn't say to me, hey, yo, Cry, remember when I helped you go from 0 to 30K a month? No, he would say, hey, yo, Cry, if you invest this 20 grand, you know, I think this can help you go from 30 to 100K a month, right? So he'll tell me the mutual benefit from doing so. Right. So he's appealing to my self-interest. He knows I want 100K a month. He knows I want to drive the Lamborghini Urus. He's not talking about what the money I invest can do for him. Right. This is very, very powerful in business. This is one of my favorite laws. A very underrated law. Right. Next, we get into law 14, fellas. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. So what this talks about, fellas, is to ask indirect questions to get people to reveal their weaknesses and intentions. When trying to get what you want out of others, you must study people, their interests, their tendencies, and use them to connect with these people and get what you want out of them. Give a false confession and they'll give you a real one. I think the purest form of this is with women. This is a whole video by itself, fellas, but there's so many indirect questions that you can ask a chick to get the answer that you really want to get, right? How can I want to give you guys an example without talking about women from my past, but I might have to. If you ask a woman, if you ask you can get it. If you ask a woman, when was her last relationship and how long was she in a relationship, right? And then another day you ask the woman like, when was the last time you talked to somebody or something like that? You can kind of get a grasp on if she's been sleeping around since her last relationship. Because a lot of women will pose like, oh, I've only had 2 boyfriends, aka I've only slept with 2 guys, but baby, no, we know that you was fucking some guys in between, right? Now, obviously, you don't want to just ask a girl straight up, who you been fucking? You know, like that. But if you ask indirectly, you're like, yo, when was your last relationship, right? And when was the last time you dated someone? You can kind of connect the dots and be like, okay, well, she's been single and fucking around for the last year and a half or whatever the case may be, right? That's a minor example, fellas, but like this law taught me that, man. Like you don't, when you want an answer out of somebody, and this is really with women, don't ask the initial question. You got to get creative and ask some questions that will lead to the answers that you're trying to get, right? Law 15, crush your enemy totally. Right? This just basically talks about, fellas, and this is something that I still struggle with at times. When people show you who they are, believe them. Right? Giving people second chances only will allow them to hurt you again. Right? Those who seal to achieve things and gain power show no mercy. So it gave a lot of examples with this law in the book of people that tried to show mercy, but it ended up, fucking them off in the end. And people that, didn't show mercy and ended up, validating them in the end, and they came out victorious. And I couldn't agree more. It's so easy, especially when you a genuine guy, to give people second chances. It could be people you did business with. It could be a girl that you're talking to. It could be a friend. But a lot of times, fellas, you give them a second chances, they just gonna hurt you again. And that's what I got from this law. Law number 16, one of my favorite laws, fellas. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down, fellas. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. Temporary withdrawal will make you more talked about and even more admired. You must learn when to leave and create value with scarcity. Imagination can only help, but help. Imagination cannot help but make the love and connection grow. I couldn't agree more. Fellas. You think when you with a chick, her feelings are growing. I can promise you when you're not with her, her feelings are growing. The mystery of what you're doing is allowing her emotions to grow, right? She misses you, right? That's why I tell you guys, when y'all meet chicks, and I'm not meaning to make this a female nature module, but this is why it's one of my favorite books, because I'm gonna give you an example with chicks, and I'm gonna give you an example with business, right? With women, fellas, when you meet these girls, a lot of y'all make the mistake of talking to her every day before y'all go on the first date. No, I'm gonna have a phone call with you. We're gonna set up a date at the end of the week, and then I'm gonna hit you maybe the day before, but really the day of, to make sure we're still good for the date, and that's it. What else do we have to talk about from now until the date that we can't talk about on the date? The issue guys make is they talk the whole day, or they on the phone every day before the date, or they FaceTiming every day before the date, and then they get on a date, and there's no mystery, there's no suspense, right? So you got to use absence to increase the respect, right? Same thing with business. A lot of people, at this time I'm recording this module, fellas, guys, people are asking me, "Cry, where the whiteboard vids? Where the whiteboard vids at?" Right? And when I drop one, it's going to go nuts, because I haven't dropped one in a while. My absence of whiteboard videos has increased the respect, right? So not only when it drops will it do well, but you guys will be, a lot of my core audience will be more, appreciative of them. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I got from this law, fellas, right? A strong presence will draw attention to you, but too much presence creates the opposite effect. I couldn't agree more. This kind of goes along with like the dating stuff, man. Like me personally, at the time I'm recording this video, I've seen the chick I'm dating like 3 or 4 days in a row. I plan to go 3 or 4 days without seeing her this week. Right? But now the main reason I'm doing that is because I have to lock in on my work, fellas. But I also know in the back of my head, law 16, use absence to create increased respect and honor. Not only that, but if you can flip it, me not being around her is going to make me miss her more. Right? So it's a win-win, fellas. Don't always feel like you got to be around or provide a certain service or product or validation or time to an individual. And more so than not, your absence is going to increase your respect. I really, really love this law, right? Force respect by always leaving, yet the possibility that a person can lose you for good. Create a pattern of presence and absence. This has worked well for me, and I believe if I put all of the girls I've ever dated in the room here, especially as an adult, like 21 and up, they would say the same thing. They know that I have no issue leaving a relationship if it doesn't suit me. They know that, right? And they also know, especially now, that my life was lit without them. My life was lit without them, right? So like, there's always possibility like, baby, you're great, but I don't need you, right? They know that, right? Lastly, fellas, what this law talks about is making yourself less accessible will increase the value of your presence. So I think this is a great game for women. Like, ladies, if y'all watching this, like, and fellas, I guess you can take this in if you're courting a chick. If a chick is like playing hard to get, that's not always a red flag. That sometimes is a flag of, damn, this chick is not easy, right? So I know I'm kind of contradicting myself here, because I tell you guys to like chicks who like you. But in some cases, especially once you level up fully, if a chick is a little bit standoffish or, isn't that accessible, that's a green flag. That means she's not accessible to most men, right? Okay, next we get into law 17, right? Keep others in suspense and terror, right? Cultivate an air of unpredictability. This law kind of goes hand in hand with 16, right? Being predictable allows others to have a sense of control. Behavior that has no consistency or purpose will throw people off balance. So I agree with this 100%, fellas. in business, this just means don't be too predictable, fellas. Like with me, you guys see I'm experimenting with new vids. Some vids I yell, some vids I don't. Whatever the case may be, experiment with that, right? Because again, right, you want to keep others in suspense. What is he gonna do next, right? Same with women, fellas. Stop just flipping her over and doing doggy style every time y'all fuck. Switch it up, brother. Maybe she wants you to walk in the house after a date and start ripping her clothes off and put her ass on the kitchen island and eat that shit like your fucking life depended on it. But you don't ever do that. You keep doing the same shit. You're predictable, right? Don't be predictable, fellas, right? Law number 18. I like this. This law was really, really huge for me because I was unconsciously against this, but once I understood this, it made a lot of sense. And it's very, very important with, ironically, what I do in consecration and business. But take with it what you will, fellas, right? Do not build fortresses. Isolation is dangerous, right? So I want you to look at this as like, this is the cons of monk mode to a certain extent, right? Isolation can sometimes prevent you from vulnerable information. It's important to circulate among people, find allies, and mingle, right? Having connections and building a big network is huge when gaining power. So how I look at it, fellas, is like with me, like I'm looking at a whiteboard right now that says, don't be on social media more than 45 minutes, no scrolling while eating, no scrolling in the car, no scrolling in the gym, no social media after 9. But one of the pros of scrolling at times is I can see what's trending from a consecration standpoint and double down on it, recreate a certain reel, or see, oh, the Super Bowl is tomorrow. Let me make a Super Bowl video. Sometimes, if I'm too closed off from social media, it can affect, like, am I speaking about the right things? Now, this is suitable for me within consecration, but I would say for the average guy, not the average guy, but the majority of men, it's more suitable with, still getting around people at times to work on your social skills. Obviously, you can learn a lot of social skills from like reading and implementing the information that you're reading, like books like this, books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. But you're never going to get more reps than the real thing. It's kind of like, you can learn how to dribble from doing dribbling drills, but you're never going to learn how to dribble in a game time situation unless somebody picking you up 94 feet. It's the same from a social dynamic aspect. I got from this to, like, when you're locked in on your journey and you're isolated, don't be so closed off. Like, this doesn't mean you have to go to a social event, but go to a gym where it's a lot of people and speak to people, right? Go to a networking event where you'll see people. Go to a coffee shop where there's people, whatever the case may be. Like, don't be too closed off. Isolation is dangerous. And because, again, having connections and building a big network is huge for gaining power, right? Law number 19. Ba, 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 ba. Know who you are dealing with. This is a great one. You guys always hear me say, treat the CEO how you would treat the janitor. A lot of that game I got from this law, right? Do not offend the wrong person. Choose your victims and opponents carefully. You never know who they are or who they may know. Never assume the person you are dealing with is weaker or less important than you are. Never reject with insults to people you don't know. Fellas, I always tell you guys, again, treat the janitor like you would treat the CEO. You don't know who people are. Remember people's names. Smile. Do firm handshakes, right? Because, like, you remembering Colton's name, again, I'll give this example plenty of times. There's a guy I met in my apartment complex named Colton, right? And at the time I was reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it was teaching me how to remember people's names. I met Colton and didn't see him for 6 months. And then 6 months later, I seen him in the hallway and we were about to walk past each other. I could tell he didn't know if I remembered his name. I was like, what's up, bro? Colton, right? And his whole body lit up. Right? Now you're probably thinking, like, I don't need to remember everybody's names. Fuck that. But the thing is, fellas, you don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know who Colton is. Colton could be the individual that gets you a discount on that membership, or introduce you to a certain friend group, or introduce you to your wife, or get you a job promotion, whatever the case may be. You don't know who they are. So always treat people with respect, and also never insult people, as well, as what I learned from this law, right? Also got from this law to never trust appearances. People can look great but be terrible internally, and vice versa. You may think because this person, like with me, fellas, I walk around like beard not lined up most of the time because I just be in grind mode. I wear white beaters and shorts, everywhere I go. But then you speak to me, I'm very well spoken. I'm very knowledgeable. I'm very aligned. I have a lot of authority within my space, right? So by the looks of it, like, I don't look like a super successful guy, right? That's one thing I really love about John Mark. Like, John Mark has a great car and a great house, but, like, if you just saw John Mark on the street, you would think this is a regular guy because the way he dresses and carries himself, right? Like, he speaks about it in his content, like, yo, I wake out of bed, I don't even brush my hair, I just get right to work. Like, that's why it's important, fellas, to treat everybody with respect, because you don't know who people are. And the flip side of this is you may see a person in a suit dressed accordingly, but they could have the worst type of character. They could be a scammer. They could be the worst type of person, right? So you always have to look at stuff through that lens, fellas, right? Next, we get into Law 20, right? Law 20 talks about do not commit, basically says do not commit to anyone. And this basically just speaks about staying neutral through like disagreements, right? So like the purest form of this, I'm a Drake guy, man. You think like two of my favorite successful individuals, fellas, are Drake and LeBron. They don't have the best relationship right now. Why is that? Because LeBron was at the Kendrick Lamar. I don't really know too much about it, fellas. I guess LeBron was at the concert Kendrick Lamar had when he was performing Not Like Us. And basically, I see where Drake's coming from, like how you my guy and you at that concert, right? What LeBron should have did is just not do nothing. Like even if you fuck with Kendrick and you fuck with Drake right now, they beefing, just stay out of it, right? I've done this plenty of times. I've had different friends that, in our friend group, they had disagreements. I don't take nobody's side. I say, I love both of y'all. It is what it is. I'm not here to choose sides. That's what I got from this law. Not committing and never choosing sides will enhance your image, right? The more you have a reputation for independence, the more people will desire you and want to be the one that gets you to commit. If people see that you are desirable by others, they will desire you too, right? So just always stay neutral. Don't ever choose sides unless it's like you got to. You know what I'm saying? Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than you think. I love this. And this is something that I was doing before I read this book, but it just validated that I've been doing the correct things. No one likes to feel stupider than the next person. Trick them. Make your victims feel smart, but not smarter than you are. Once convinced this, they will never suspect ulterior motives. Never insult a person's intelligence. When you make people feel intelligent, you are making them feel better about themselves, which will make them keep you around. The longer they keep you around, the more opportunities you will have. When people inadvertently learn that you are smarter than what you look, they will admire you even more for being discreet and making your brilliance show. So much game, fellas. So much fucking game. Playing dumber than you are, fellas, can work wonders for you. It can work wonders for you, right? I love to do this. I'm not really doing this now because I've been dating the young lady that I'm, talking to now for a long time. But I love to do this with women in the beginning and just like kind of just act like a bum, or kind of just act like I'm unaware of female nature in a way, right? I always live by something that goes directly with this law. I let people do what they want to do so I can see what they rather do, right? So in the beginning when I meet people, I'm never, having them conform to my ideologies or the character that I wish that they have to be an individual around me. I'm just going to let you do what you want to do so I can see what you rather do. And a lot of that is playing dumb in certain cases, like, oh, I didn't notice you did that, or oh, I don't know what that means, or oh, it's okay that you have a male best friend, babe. Whatever. Like I play dumb sometimes, and this law can work a really, really well for you, especially in intersexual dynamics. One of my favorite laws, fellas, right? Next, we get into law number 22. Use a surrender tactic, transform weakness into power, right? So when at a disadvantage or in the wrong, do not give others the satisfaction of fighting or defeating you. Surrender first. Surrendering gives you time to recover. I love this. And I live by this. If you're wrong, fellas, just take accountability off rip, because you're going to do more disjustice not admitting you're wrong or admitting you're wrong later after a person calls you out. Like if you do something wrong, admit to it fast. Admit to it fast, right? The enemy will react out of emotion and aggression. If you do the opposite, it will throw them off and make them feel like they are in control of the situation. In reality, you are manipulating them into thinking they defeated you and you will attack later on, right? So always admit you wrong, and it will lower the defense of your enemies at all times if you're looking to strike back. But even if you're not, fellas, always admit when you're wrong, right? It's going to do you more justice than injustice, right? Law 23. This is one of I believe I have this law tatted as well. Do I? No, I got law 24 tatted, but this one is one of my favorites as well, fellas, right? Concentrate your forces, right? Intensity defeats extensity every time. You gain more by finding a rich mining a mine in the deeper than going from one shallow mine to another. Conserve your forces and energy by keeping them concentrated at their strongest job. I speak about this so much. Fellas, I always tell you guys there's two ways to be exceptional as a man from a financial acumen standpoint. You either have to solve a whole bunch of problems or you have to perfect your craft. LeBron James has perfected his craft, right? Jeff Bezos solves a bunch of problems for people that rather order something than go to Walmart and get it. That's why they're both exceptional from a financial acumen standpoint. They became exceptional from a financial acumen standpoint because they concentrated their focus. Jeff Bezos wasn't focused on fucking being the best lawnmower in America. He was focused on how can I ship products to people fast as possible? LeBron James wasn't worried about, oh, how can I make the best Nike shoe? He was like, no, how can I be the best basketball player? Right? What you got to understand, fellas, is that we're human beings. We have X amount of energy cognitively and physically. So if the barrier for success is 7 and every individual has 15 points, right? You giving a point to your job, you giving, let's say you get 5 points to your job, 5 points to your family, 5 points to real estate, and 5 points to e-commerce. Let's say you got 20 points, not 15, right? All of those are moving up, but they're not moving as fast as if you said fuck real estate or fuck e-commerce and you gave that other 5 points to that. Now that's at a 10. And remember, the barrier for success is 7, according to this example I'm giving you. So you would reach that barrier for success faster. I see this so much times in the Black community. You see shit where they put in their bio, serial entrepreneurs. All that means to me is you're mediocre at a lot of shit. And maybe you are great at a lot of things, but you could be exceptional at one if you put your time into attention on that. Right. And that's very, very important. A lot of us, we're trying to be the jack of all trades. Like, no, just be great at one thing. It says in this law, you cannot hit 2 targets with 1 arrow. Right? Pick one thing and be great at it, fellas. Don't get too greedy. Oftentimes, greed and wanting more allows people to collapse. Stay in your lane and keep being great at what you do and who you are. You know how many, I've had people tell me, oh, Cry, you should get into public speaking. Or Cry, you should have a low ticket program where people can join your academy for $100 a month. Fuck no. I ain't got the juice out of the squeeze in what I'm doing now. Why would I go in or Cry? You should even like, I had one of my brothers like reach out to me about like some e-commerce stuff, and I'm just like, I mean, like I'll like wear it and stuff and help you, but like my main thing is the main thing, right? Lonzo Ball said that one of the best things advices he got from LeBron is to keep the main thing the main thing. And a lot of times, fellas, like with distractions, it sometimes is disguised as opportunity. And you think like, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to expand, but in reality, man, keep doing the boring tasks and focusing on what works. The work works. Be exceptional in that one field and then venture off, right? That's a major thing I got from this law, and that perfection resides in quality, not quantity, right? Next, fellas, probably the best law in this book, the law that I got tatted on me, fellas. It's really nuts how much game is in. If there was a book just on this law, it would be nuts. Play the perfect courtier. Right? Holy fuck, there's so many different avenues in this law, fellas. Shall we dive in? Right? Learn to apply the laws of courtiership, and there will be no limit to how much power you can gain. Right? So one of the first things I got from this law is that never to brag about yourself. The more you talk about yourself, the more envy you create. Always talk less about yourself than other people. Modesty is preferable. Never seem to be, no, I'll actually go one by one. Let's start with that. I couldn't agree more with that, fellas, right? It's so much more attractive for a female to find out you're that guy from other people or from social media or from like her hearing through the grapevine than you telling her yourself. Right? Same thing in business or just meeting people. Like I don't meet people and say, hey, my name's Cry, I got 15K subs, I got 24,000 Instagram followers, I make 30K a month and I'm Jack. Like, nah, you'll see for yourself if we exchange Instagrams or if we get to know each other, you'll see for yourself. It's so much more attractive for her to find out or for them to find out on themselves rather than you tell them. I promise you. This also talks about never seem to be working too hard. Your talent must appear to flow naturally. It's better for people to take you as a genuine genius over a workaholic. Make everything look effortless. It's better for people to marvel at how easy you accomplish something rather than wonder why it took so much work. I love this. I'll give you a couple examples with this, fellas, right? One of the main things, I can look at this from both lenses. I've never done music on a level of Drake, and I've never played basketball on a level of LeBron. However, I did pursue both of those vehicles, so I know what it takes to prepare for a game or write a song or make an album, right? So like when I look at it from a Drake lens, a lot of people think, man, Drake just makes these hits so easy. He makes these albums so easy. How is he rapping so effortless? Little do they know, man, Drake probably made 100 songs and just picked the best 12 songs to go on the album. And he probably had to rewrite that verse 3 times. Same thing with LeBron. People are like, damn, like how does he just let the game flow so easily when he's in a game? Little did they know LeBron was watching film 4 hours every single day before the game and studying his opponent, right? But nobody knows that. That's why it's so admirable. A lot of people like to marvel at what we accomplished, but don't let them see the hard work that goes into it all the time, because then it takes away the value of it and the admiration of it, if that makes sense, fellas, right? Also got from this, fellas, Downplay compliments. Too much of it makes them lose value. I'm big on that. I really hate receiving compliments, fellas, right? You must master the art of not showing off, but always being noticed. This comes with having a great physical appearance or image. I love this. I love this, and every guy can do it, fellas. As a man, I know I'm intense in my videos, fellas, but I don't just walk in the gym and be yelling and cussing and shit. Like, I be turned in my videos because I read that list of hate and I be lit and I want to provide y'all certain energy, but like on an everyday basis, unless like I'm working out with my guys or something, I'm not just like being super loud and like trying to get people's attention in that regard. You know, I'm more laid back and cool, but I do get attention, right? With the subtle acts of wearing clothes that complement my physique, making sure that I smell good, making sure that my hair is cut, my teeth is white, making sure that my outfit is nice. Little things that I do, right, to master a great physical appearance, right, where I'm showing off, but I'm not. You know, I'm not showing off like, oh, I'm Cry, I'm him. I'm more so showing off subtly, right? That's something I got from this law, right? Another thing that I got, in gaining power, you must change the style and the way you speak depending on the person. Your criteria of judgment is never universal. I kind of disagree with that, but I see where they're coming from, right? Never be the bearer of bad news, only good news, right? So like, you gotta this. I love this, but you got to be careful. Never be a person, and this isn't going to be like one thing that I'm good with is like filtering information. So this isn't going to be viable in 1% Academy. If that was the case, I would get on every call like, "Oh, brother, you're doing well." Like, nah, I got to bear to you the bad news and critique you. But I think this is very, very useful with women to, you know, praise them more than you criticize them, you know, or just watch how you criticize them. So like, if Shorty made a meal and you like the chicken in the meal, but you don't like the mac and cheese, you should say, baby, this fried chicken was so good. I think next time you can even add this, and this to make the mac and cheese better. But you see how I led with the compliment instead of just saying, babe, this mac and cheese was foul. You know what I'm saying? That's part of being a perfect courtier, right? I already talked about that, so I'm not going to talk about that. But it also speaks about criticizing people above you. That's law number one. Be careful when doing that. Ask for favors as rarely as possible. It's always better to earn your favors, right? So there's been plenty of instances like just like last week, I wanted to like hit John Mark like, yo, can you, you know, conduct a group call for me, right? But I don't like asking for favors. You know, it was a certain instance when I was in the gym with my girl and we were trying to do this reel where like I do a like I don't forget what it's called, a single arm DB rear delt row with her though, not a weight. But to do it, you need a squat belt. And I didn't have a squat belt. And she was like, why don't you just ask somebody for one? And I was just like, I don't like ask people for favors, right? That's part of playing the perfect courtier for us, right? Another thing that I got from this is that this is great. Express admiration for people, for other people's achievements. In doing so, you call attention to yourself and your own achievements. The ability to express wonder and amazement and seem like you mean it is rare and a dying talent. We live in a society today where it's like dick riding if you pump up your friends or just show love to other people. But when you do that, fellas, you separate yourself. Not only that, but you draw attention to yourself, right? Because what you got to understand is that people's opinions have everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. So if you're an individual that's always lifting people up, supporting people, posting their shit, whatever the case may be, people look at you like, damn, this guy's always supporting. Like this, what does this guy do? Right? This guy's always supporting. He must be confident. He must not be insecure. He must have a lot going on because he doesn't mind lifting other people up. So when a lot of my people, especially in my business friend group, when they doing something that's incredible, I'm supporting them. I'm commenting on it. I'm reposting it, whatever the case may be. Right? That's part of playing the perfect courtier. Right? Another thing it says is always be observant of yourself and where you can improve in all times. Self-awareness is the key to gaining power. This is facts, fellas. Right? You must master all emotions. You must keep up with the times. Never spend too much time on your studies that you neglect your social skills. It's so much game in this, fellas. Like it doesn't just focus on one thing in this law. It talks about all the things you must do to play the perfect courtier. And that's why I got it tatted on me, fellas. As you can see from this summary I gave you guys, it's a shit ton of game, man. Shit ton of game, right? Next we get into law 25. And this talks about recreating yourself, fellas. So this is pretty simple. Do not accept the rules that society forces on you. Recreate yourself by forging a new identity. Form an identity that commands attention and never bores the audience. Be a master of your own image rather than letting others define it for you. Always be aware of your audience. Be aware of what will entertain them and what will bore them. This just basically always be yourself. And especially in content creation and business, what I took from this is just to be sharp with my image and how I present myself, right? Very simple as that, right? 26, keep your hands clean. This is a big one, fellas, right? Keep your hands clean at all costs, right? And this is dark, right? It says use others as a scapegoat depending on the situation if need be. Everyone makes mistakes, but those who are truly clever manage to hide them. I haven't practiced this law, but I know very, very successful individuals that do. If you think of a lot of rappers do this, man. When rappers do some grimy shit, they not taking a bid for it. They homie is. The homie that maybe don't got the authority that they do. Why? Because the rapper is bringing in all the money. Right? That's just what it is, fellas. Right? So it's basically telling you, everybody makes mistakes, but the 1%ers in this regard are clever, and they manage to hide them and put them on other people, right? Reputation depends more on what can be hidden than what can be seen. Whew, that's deep, fellas. Think about it. Repetition depends more on what can be hidden than what can be seen. The best people in power find people to do difficult tasks for them. They work smarter, not harder, right? Love this law, right? Law 27, play on people's needs to believe. This is a big one for business, right? People have an overwhelming desire to believe in something. A belief something will bring you power. A belief system will bring you power. Keep it simple and vague when creating a cult-like audience. Speak with passion. Visuals are key for keeping an audience engaging and not bored. Find the belief or cause or fantasy that will make people believe with a passion. This alone is this law alone could help you if you're doing like what I do with content creation and coaching, right? If you think of me, I've had guys get on calls. Like my brother Dylan, I had a call with Dylan one time, and he was like, "Yo, Cry, I want you to get the year. I'm gonna cry when you get the yours." Right? Why is that, fellas? Right? Obviously, Dylan's my brother. That's my guy, my 1% Academy alum. But it's because, right, I speak with so much passion with my objectives, and I'm so vulnerable with showing you guys my life and my belief system, and I speak with so much passion. I show you guys the images when I was a skinny dweeb. Before you even join 1% Academy, you feel like you know me, right? And although I'm here to believe in you and help you, you also believe in me and want me to hit my objectives. That's what I learned from this law, fellas, right? This is a huge law with content creation, right? Law 28, I love this one. Interactions with boldness, right? This is one of my favorite laws, fellas. Doubt and hesitation will negatively affect your desired course of action. Being timid is dangerous. It's better to enter action with boldness. Fellas, stop being scared to take that risk. Just take it. Stop being scared to approach that chick. Just do it. Stop being scared to escalate the chick that you've been dating sex because you think that she doesn't want to do it or you're scared to do it. Just do it. Interaction with boldness, fellas. Any mistakes you commit through audacity are easily collected with more audacity. So when you interaction with boldness, fellas, and you make a mistake, you can correct the mistake with boldness as well, right? Everyone admires the brave. No one honors the timid. Hesitation puts obstacles in your path. Boldness eliminates them. Entering challenges with boldness hides your weakness. Always reach for the moon. You'll be surprised how far you can get. Every single day I do that, fellas. Every single day, right? Interaction with boldness. What's the worst going to happen? If the worst happens, cool, I'll fix it. That has to be the mentality, right? And it gives an example with this law, fellas. During the first encounter or any encounter, you will show weaknesses or willingness to compromise or back down. If you show weakness or willingness or compromise to back down, you will bring out the lion in people and they will take advantage of you. I couldn't agree more with like the purest form of this is shit tests with women. If you let a woman like flake you and you still go to the date, you're subconsciously telling her that you're a dweeb and you don't interact with boldness. If you answer the phone every time she calls or compromise your purpose over her, maybe she likes it in the moment, like, oh wow, he cares about me, but subconsciously, brother, you're just showing her that you're a weak man. That's just what it is, right? It literally gives an example. During seduction, being timid gives the other person time to think and question your intentions. Be bold with women during seduction. The moment you hesitate, the charm is broken. Fellas, as little as like just saying certain things in bed that you might be scared to say, trying a new position, anything, fellas. I've been there. More so like with saying stuff that like typically I wouldn't say. Just do it, and you'll be surprised what can happen. Now, I'm using sex as an example and selection as an example, but that's with anything, fellas. With anything. Like, I think about me. For a long time, I was overthinking making a whiteboard video. Now it's like part of my identity. Like, I'm known for my whiteboard vids because I just entered the action with boldness, right? I love this, fellas. Your fears of a bold action are way out of proportion of reality. Your value is lower when you create a cycle of doubt. Boldness should never be the. Let me start with that. Your fears of bold action are way out of proportion of reality. Your value is lower when you create a cycle of doubt, right? So like the shit that you are overthinking to be bold with, it has never like transpired. Has never transpired. Like just do it. What's the worst that can happen? Right? Now the other side of the coin with this, fellas, is it says boldness should never be the strategy behind all of your actions. It is an instrument to be used at the right moment. Plan and think ahead to make a final a final decision that the bold move will bring you success. Right? One of my favorite laws, fellas, right? Now going to get into planning to the end. I love this law. This is probably one of the most underrated laws in this book, fellas. The ending is everything, right? Take into account all the possible consequences, obstacles, and twists of fortune that might reverse your hard work and good glory to others. By pointing to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances, and you will know when to stop. Don't react off emotions. Always think ahead and make the best decision that benefits you long term. Planning ahead always allows more efficient execution, the ability to ignore immediate dangers and pleasures to translate into power. A lot of times we don't do this with women, fellas, right? We meet women. Women show us who they are. We see some red flags or some green flags or whatever the case may be, and we just don't think to the end, right? Like a lot of times, fellas in the past, I don't do it no more, but a lot of you guys, y'all be fucking women that you would never want to be the mother of your kids. You're not thinking to the end. What is the worst that can happen with this chick, right? Even with business, you're not thinking to the end. Yeah, everything feels good because you just started this business. Are you thinking to the end? How long is this going to take? Am I going to be satisfied once I reach 100K a month, cry? Once I got the euros, what does the end look like? What is the pivot? A lot of times we don't think about things in that lens. We just think about short term, what's going to happen within the next 3 to 6 months. No, you need to be thinking to the end. How is this going to pan out? Right? Planning ahead allows more efficient execution. The ability to know immediate dangers and pleasures translate into power, right? One of my favorite laws, right? Or underrated laws, right? Law number 30. Now, this is one of my favorites. And this is I've kind of said this in previous laws, fellas, but this law specifically just focused solely on making your accomplishments seem effortless. Your actions must seem natural and executed with ease. All the work and practice that goes into them must be hidden. When you act effortlessly as if you could do so much more. Avoid the temptation of revealing how hard you work. It only raises questions and envy. Teach no one your tricks or they will be used against you. People think that exposure of your hard work would demonstrate diligence and honesty. However, it actually makes them look weaker, as if anyone who practiced the work could accomplish the same thing. I'm going to give you an example where I practice this, fellas. So for Valentine's Day, I was dating this girl and I had decorated this room for her, right? Actually, I didn't decorate it. I hired somebody to do it, right? But when I hired somebody to do it, they needed me to pick up some materials. I went to pick up the materials. I went to get some wine. When I was unloading the wine, it fell. So or not the wine, but the wine glass, it fell. So the wine glass broke. So I had to go back to get it, right? I went to the store to get these paintings because we were going to do sip and paint in the decorated hotel. They ran out of paintings. So I had to go to another store that was really, really far. Right. Then I had to tell the people at the front desk, hey, when I walk in, act like you don't know me, like we're just checking in, even though I'm obviously here decorating the room because I want everything to be a surprise. Right. She ended up walking in the room. It was a great surprise. She loved it. Right. Now, when she loved it, fellas, I didn't tell her all of the trials and tribulations I did to facilitate that reality for her. I made it look effortless. Like it was nothing. Like I could do this again if I wanted to. That is very attractive with women. Right. That's even very attractive from a marketing aspect. Right. Now, I don't do this, but I know some gurus who do this and like whatever their program is, it could be business, it could be fitness. They make it look easy. And then when it looks easy, or like they didn't do a lot of hard work to get it, you think it's easy and you buy their program. And then you in their program and you like, holy shit, this is not what he portrayed it to be. I don't use that marketing tactic. I'm the opposite. Like I'm gonna show you that it's not easy, right? To get a 90% probability completion rate, brother, it's tough, right? That's my style of how I do it. But I get this side as well, and I get why those guys probably make more money than me because they make everything look effortless and easy. And we live in a day and age today where everybody wants everything to look effortless and easy. But especially with women, fellas, a chick don't have to know how you made 10K a month. A chick don't have to know how you was able to get your dream car. A chick don't have to know how you was able to take her to these 5-star restaurants. Just make this shit look brother. Just make this shit look like it's a part of you, and I promise you, it will do you so much justice, right? Learn to control the urge to speak about your hard work. Most people cannot do it, but the great ones can. The more mystery around your actions and accomplishments, the more powerful and admiration you will acquire from others. Couldn't agree more, right? Next, we get into Law 31, fellas. Control the options, right? Get others to play the cards that you deal. And this law simply just states, fellas, giving people a choice makes them feel like they're in control, but they are really your puppets. Give people options that will come out in your favor no matter which one they choose. Force them to make choices of the lesser two exiles. So I can't give you a business example because I would be giving away a lot of my sauce, but I can give you an example with women, right? With women, fellas, let's say that you want it's your girl's birthday, but you have a taste for steak or sushi, right? I would approach you if you're practicing this law, you would approach the girl saying, you wouldn't say, baby, what do you want to eat? You would be like, baby, would you like sushi or this steakhouse? So in her mind, you're giving her the option to choose. It's like, wow, he's letting me choose. But in reality, nah, you just let her choose out of the two options that you wanted. Now, I give an example of women, fellas, but you can really do this with anything. One of my favorite laws, right? Next, we get into Law 32, play into people's fantasies, right? There is great power in tapping into fantasies of the masses. Life is harsh and distressing, so people flock to people who can create fantasies. To gain power, you must be the source of pleasure for those around you, and pleasure comes from playing into people's fantasies. Let your victims come close enough to see and be tempted, but keep them far enough that they are dreaming and desiring. The purest form of this, fellas, is like reality TV and just like a lot of the stuff we see in entertainment. If you think of like, I love to use the example of Tyler Perry. If you watch Tyler Perry, he's a Black director, one of the most successful Black directors ever. I want to say he's a billionaire. A lot of the movies that he makes, fellas, are like, they play into people's fantasies so much. Like that he makes movies of like women being seduced by, their husband's friend or their coworker, or like, even vice versa, like, meeting the girl that meets the bad boy and then ends up like sleeping with them. Like he plays one of people's fantasies, and that's why his movies do so well. Right now, it's kind of hard for me to do that in my specific realm. But if you're just doing content creation, like on a DDG, Kai Cenat, like that type of thing, you have to play into people's fantasies at all times, right? It's going to do you wonders from a business acumen standpoint, right? Now we get into Law 33. We're almost done, fellas. Got about 15 more laws. Actually, we're not almost done, right? Discover each man's thumb screw, right? So this just speaks about every man has a weakness. The weakness is usually an insecurity or an uncontrollable emotion or need or small secret pleasure. Once you find out what it is, you can use it to your advantage. I love this, fellas, because it basically speaks about train yourself to listen. Everyday conversations display the richest mind of weakness. Always seem interested in people's conversations. Always pay attention to the gestures of how they treat other people. Right. So what this is basically saying is that people tend to blurt out their insecurities. Like you don't even have to ask people what their insecurities are. They will tell you and you will see it. Right. You will see it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you just, I'm not going to give any examples because I can think of a few right now, but I'm so close with these people that I don't want to put their business out there. But there's certain people I have conversations with in our everyday conversations. They tell me what their insecurities are. Right. Now, take with this information what you will, right? But that's what this law talks about. This law also speaks about learn about people's childhoods. Most weaknesses begin with people's childhoods. If someone went through something as a child and you supply it, they will be attached to you forever. Toxic, but it's true. You will find people's weaknesses in the opposite qualities they reveal to you, right? I love this, right? People who talk loud a lot and boast for attention are often the people that are the most lonely, right? Now, obviously, you can look at me like, oh, Kyle, you yelling all your videos. Are you lonely? No, I told you why I yell at my videos. I guess because of that list of hate. right? But when I think about loud women, though, like loud women on social media or loud women at the club, those be the most lonely women. Why are they loud? Because they want that attention and that validation, and they're not getting it being quiet, right? So you will learn a lot about people based on the opposite qualities that they show. Same with women. If you meet a chick, fellas, and she's like ultra, like, oh, I'm hard, not like she's not loud, but she's like, she act like she don't have feelings, and she act like her guard is up. She's really a lover girl. She got a heart broken before. You'll always understand people and discover people based on the opposite qualities that they show sometimes, right? Next law, fellas, I love this law. Be royal in your own fashion, right? Act like a king to be treated as such. The way you carry yourself will determine how you are treated. By acting confident in yourself, you make yourself seem more destined to wear a crown, right? In the long run, appearing common will make people disrespect you. People will treat you how you allow them to. Never downplay yourself, especially in negotiations or interviews. Set your price high and do not waver. I agree with this 1,000%. There's so many studies about this, but like people treat you, whatever you accept, that's how people will treat you. Period. If you let that girl cuss you out, she's gonna continue to cuss you out, right? If you let that girl talk to you crazy, she's gonna continuously talk to you crazy, right? But if you present yourself like, I don't put up with that, I'm him, I'm me, it's gonna be so fucking contagious when you around. I know guys, fellas, that we used to talk to female friends I've had in the past. That was just, I mean, I'm a dude, so it was different, but they was dweebs, like in life. But they carried themselves like they was that nigga. They carried themselves like they was him. And that was so attractive to my female friends. They just couldn't resist this guy. It was so attractive that he thought he was him that they ended up thinking it as well. But me looking at it from a political view, I'm like, this guy is a dweeb. He's broke. He doesn't have a car. He got 4 baby mamas. Yet you think he's him because he carry himself like that, right? That's what I got from this law, fellas, right? Act like a king and you'll be treated as such. It also gives this thing called, this game called the strategy of a crown. And it speaks about if we believe we are destined for great things, our belief will radiate outward. Just as a brown creates auras around the king, the outward radiance will affect people around us and will make them think we must have reasons to feel so confident. So this goes hand in hand with what I just said. I would assume that my female friends, they were around these really dweeb guys, but these confident dweeb guys, and they would, when they were so confident, it made my female friends think like, what is it about him that makes him think he's like this, that he's that guy? And it was attractive, right? So this just tells you, fellas, always present yourself and think you're that guy because you are that guy. And once you do, people will treat you as such, right? Next, we get into law 35, right? Master the art of timing. This basically speaks about to never be in a hurry, fellas. Hurry betrays a lack of control over yourself. Always seem patient as if you know everything will come eventually. Learn how to stand back when necessary and when to strike when necessary. Timing is everything. Always stay two steps ahead and know when to act on something with the best chance of it being successful. When you force a path out of fear of impatience, you cause problems when them taking longer than if you were patient and took your time. Control your emotional urges and never seek instant gratification. I couldn't agree with this more, fellas. Just move with a certain certainty and confidence and never make emotional decisions. Like always think things through and then master the art of timing of when it's the right time to make that move versus you just rushing and doing it because like you got emotional, right? That's the main thing I got from this law, right? Law number 6, disdain things you cannot have. I love this law. By acknowledging a petty problem, you give it existence and credibility. The more attention you pay the enemy, the stronger you make him. If I saw a guy that was like reacting to a whole bunch of FedEx Fearless videos and like dogging FedEx Fearless and talking shit about FedEx Fearless, and FedEx Fearless never responded. And I admire that so much because once you respond, you give it existence and credibility. The more attention you pay the enemy, the stronger you make them. Right? That's something I got from this law. Also got from this law. If there is something you want that you can have, don't show interest. The less you reveal, the more superior you seem. Fellas, this is probably the number 1 law in my book when I meet a chick. If you give me that pussy, you give it to me. If you don't, you don't. I really don't give a fuck. I don't. The next girl will if you won't. And if you do, awesome. Whip-de-fucking do. You gonna nut before I do, baby. Right? So like what I'm basically trying to say, fellas, is that I don't I don't care if she give it to me or not. And that energy and that aura is so attractive that they always end up due quickly, right? Only you choose to let things bother you. By acknowledging other people, you open yourself up to their influence. When you ignore people, you cancel them out. This frustrates them, but since you are unresponsive, there's nothing you can do. This gives you power. Everything is on your terms, right? I agree 100%. This goes back with the FedEx thing. When he's ignoring these people, making these videos about them, he's canceling them out. Right now, you see me, I'll be petty and respond to people's YouTube comments. But if there was ever a situation where a guy like was dogging me in a video, I would never respond, right? Because he's a dweeb, right? He needs me for views. I don't need him, right? Next, fellas, it's basically piggybacks on what I just said. Showing too much interest is bad in all realms. Showing too much desire makes you seem weak, unworthy, and pathetic. So, like, you acting thirsty for that pussy, brother, is just you're drying her up. You're drying her up. Act like you don't care. I promise it'll work wonders for you, right? But I'm using women and sex as an example, fellas, but it's really with everything in life. Act like you don't want it, and you'll be surprised how fast it comes to you, right? Law 37, create compelling spectacles. People want immediate appeal to their emotions. Everyone remembers how you make them feel. Sell people dreams and play on their emotional weakness with visuals, right? So, like, one thing I tell my guys that I help with content creation is that people aren't playing for information, they're playing for implementation, right? So, like, you're not doing shit getting on YouTube and telling me to track my macros and weigh my food, right? But maybe if you were, went through a breakup and you were broken, depressed, and then you started prioritizing the gym, one of the first things you did was start weighing your food with this specific scale. That's a lot different, right? Because you made that person feel that maybe they've been through that as well, right? So, like, the information isn't enough. You must bring out the emotion and the vulnerability to connect with your audience, right? That's how I use it, fellas. But you got to take, you got to have your discernment and your filtering of how this can apply to you, right? Next, we get into law 38. Think as you like, but behave. Think as you like, but behave like others. This is interesting, man. Like, I practice this sometimes, but sometimes I think it's important not to practice this, right? But what this law talks about is never make people feel inferior or below you, even if they are. It's always safer to blend in or appear to blend in to avoid envy and gain power. I agree. Find a way to express yourself and your ideas in a way that is catered to the audience. Arguments don't work because most people hold their ideas and values without even thinking of them. When you go into society, leave behind your own ideas and opinions and put on the mask of the most appropriate for the group in which you find yourself in. I agree with this. I think what I got from this law, fellas, is basically that, like, people have an inflated perception and ego of themselves. Everybody thinks they're better than they are. So the worst thing you can do is get around people and try to act like you're better than them, thinking that, it's giving you brownie points because you're impressing them, but you're not impressing them. You're just creating envy, right? So, like, don't always go in public and try to, like, make everybody as smart as you or show everybody that you're so superior. Like, leave behind your own ideas and opinions and blend in sometimes when need be, right? It can work wonders for you, right? Next, we get into law 39. Stir up waters and catch fish, right? This talks about, fellas, staying calm when your enemy is angry will throw them off balance, right? An angry response strikes fear and terror at first, but after it will bring resentment, embarrassment, and uneasiness. Showing frustration is showing you have lost control of your emotions, which shows you have lost power. Once you train yourself not to take matters personally and control the emotional responses, you will have placed yourself in a position of tremendous power. I agree 1,000%. That you can ask anybody around me in any form of confrontation. You're never gonna see me get out of a character or start yelling, cussing, or something like that. Because I understand it to really make you feel angry, I'm gonna stay as calm as possible and let you do all of that. And not only are you gonna be angry that you're not getting a response out of me, but once you calm down, you're gonna feel bad about it. Right? So that's what this law talks about. I love this law. Law 40. This is one of my favorite laws, fellas. I love this one. Despise the free lunch, fellas. Whatever is offered for free is dangerous, and it usually involves a trick, hidden obligation, or ulterior motive. What's worth it is worth paying for. By paying, you stay clear of gratitude, guilt, and deceit. Paying full price keeps you free of all ulterior and dangerous motives, right? Generosity opens people to return the favor or to be deceived. Now I'll start with that before I get into the second half of this. I was dating this chick and we was moving, and, like, her parents offered to pay for the moving trucks, and I said no. And the reason I said no is because I just never wanted to give her father that that early in our relationship, like I did this for him financially, or I gave you guys this, so you got to do this, or X, Y, and Z, or bring it up later, or maybe she bring it up in an argument, like you ain't even have money to do this. My dad did it. Despise the free lunch. Despise the free lunch. When people offer you, even when like I have guys that I meet at the gym, like try to give me free gear. I'm like, bro, let me give you some. How much is it? I'll pay for it. Right. Even though they want me to just wear it to promote it, I pay for it because I despise the free lunch. It's something that you want on the back end. Like I gave the example in the beginning of this module with the guy with the Alanis, fellas. I didn't give him the Alanis back, but when I left, I was thinking like, damn, what could I give this guy so to even the playing field? Despise the free lunch. Always pay for whatever it is because like nobody's that generous. I promise you. Right. Law 41. Actually, I want to speak about the second half of that. And like I said, fellas, you want to always look at these laws from both lenses. So this law also says to give freely when you can, because it will make others feel indebted and also spread influence. Gift giving naturally opens up people. It's something that has been engraved in us since we were children, right? I hate to say it, fellas, what a lot of men do with women is they take her on all these dates, they buy her these gifts for sex. You think these niggas is just taking her on dates and buying her these gifts and sending her money for no reason? Nah, they want that two-hand twist deluxe and they want that wet-ass pussy, my nigga. Let's just keep it a bean. It's not for free, right? So them knowing that, they know that that's going to lower that guard down for that chick. They're going to be very generous when they meet women, right? So like take with the information what you will, fellas, but that's just the society we live in today, right? Law 41, fellas. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. What happens first always appears better and more original than what comes after. Establish your own name and own identity by changing the course. It always is better to get it out the mud than to have it handed to you. You will appreciate it more. If your father, grandfather, or mentor is successful, you will have to double what they did to be talked about in the same breath. I agree with this 1,000%, man. 1,000%. So you argue with your mother, brother, but LeBron has had way harder championships, played more competition, and done more for the game than Michael Jordan. Yet it's so hard for him to surpass Michael Jordan in everybody's eyes. Why? Because Michael Jordan did it first, right? Michael Jordan did it first, right? People always say Kobe is a carbon copy of Michael Jordan, but if Kobe played first, people would say Mike was the carbon copy, right? And I'll keep using LeBron. If you look at LeBron's son, shout out to LeBron's son. No, there's nothing against him. He's phenomenal. Like this is another conversation for another day, but for him to be as good as he is with the life that he lives, and basically I can get whatever I want. I'm LeBron's son, and being able to be that good to make it to the NBA is to me is awesome. It's harder than a lot of people think because you don't have to work hard. You're LeBron's son. But if he were ever to be like, I want to be better than LeBron, he would have to do double of what LeBron did to get to that, to be better than LeBron. That's just what it is. And that's what this law talks about, right? Law 42, strike the shepherd, isolate from or banish from people who bring trouble. That simple, fellas. Stay away from dweebs, right? Law 43, work on the hearts or in the minds of others. I love this law. You must seduce others into wanting to love in your direction. The way to seduce others is to operate on their individual psychologies or weaknesses. Ignore the hearts and the minds of others and they will grow to hate you. Never come off as being arrogant or selfish when you're with wealth or success. At all times, you must attend to those around you, gauging their psychology, tailoring your words to know what will entice them and seduce them. The higher and more successful you get, the more you will need to remain in tune with the hearts and the minds below you. That's how you will maintain support for longevity. When most people meet someone new, they rather talk about themselves rather than stepping back and learning the person's psychology and emotions to seduce them and control them. People want to feel understood and acknowledged. Get people to open up. The more that they talk, the more that they reveal about their likes and dislikes. The handles the leverage to move them. Play the numbers game. The larger your support base, the stronger you get. You must constantly win over allies on all levels. It will come a time in the future when you will need them. This basically goes somewhere in depth on the other law, some of the other laws that we spoke about in regards to, humans' emotions, people only caring about themselves, the psychology of people and things like that. And it just goes more in depth. This is one of my favorite laws. The main takeaway that I took from what I just read to you is that the higher that you get, the more you will need to remain in tune with the hearts and the people of minds below you. And I think my mentor does a great job of this. At my mentor's level, John Mark Steve, he does what I do, but he teaches business for those that don't know that are watching this. One of the best things that he does is he continues to take one-on-one calls. A lot of guys at that level, they just have a whole bunch of people under them taking calls and they rarely have to. He always takes them. And the reason that his business continues to stay successful and he continues to shit on everybody else is because when he's taking these calls, he understands the psychology and the emotions and also like logically what, his audience is going through. So he's able to make not only better content, but provide better solutions than the individuals who don't really want to take a lot of calls. Right. So that's an example of what I got from this law, fellas, but this is a great law. Law 44, disarm and appreciate with the mirror effect. I love this law. So there's two types of mirror effects, fellas, right? The first one is, let me read these first. The mirror effect, the mirror effect is the perfect tool for deception. When you mirror your enemies doing exactly what they do, they cannot figure you out strategically. By holding up a mirror to a person's actions, you seduce them with the illusion that you share their values. By holding up mirrors, you teach them a lesson. So I used to be petty like this back in the day, fellas. Like if a chick would block me, I would block them. If a chick would unfollow me, I would unfollow them. If they would say certain things in arguments, I would say the same things. And it basically was me practicing this law, the mirror effect. When it's really as simple as when you treat people how they treat you, they don't like it, and they see their effect of how they've been treating you, and sometimes they stop doing it. So that's one side of the mirror effect. The other side is a more positive side, right? So like with the mirror effect, you can mirror a person's psychological wants and desires, and you can gain power over them. It's it's literally called the narcissistic effect, right? Because you got to understand, fellas, everyone is wrapped up in their narcissistic shell. When you try to impose your ego in them, a wall goes up and resistances increase. However, by mirroring them, you seduce them and gain their power. To me, this is so much gain for women. If you're watching this and you're with a man that is purposeful and like he thinks he's that guy, like if I dated a chick, and ironically, my chick does this. Now, is it genuine? I hope so, but she could be practicing the mirror effect. My chick knows that I think I'm him, that I'm going to make $100K a month, and I'm going to drive a Lamborghini Urus. So when I'm with her, she validates that. She validates that I am that guy that's going to do that. And she supports it 1,000%. And that's why I'm still talking to her to this day. And I plan on talking to her for a long time, right? I plan on that being my life partner. Right. But why? Because when I'm with her, it validates what I already think about myself. That is a mirror effect. Now I could do the same thing to her. You could do the same to your friend. You could do the same thing to someone you're trying to implement in business, whatever the case may be. Take what you want with this information, fellas. But that's what this is. And this works, especially the positive one. I promise you. Right. Law 45, fellas. Preach the niche for change, but never too much, right? So I get this from a business acumen standpoint. Too much innovation is too much for most people. When you are in a position of power, make sure to respect an old way of doing things. If change is necessary, make it gentle, improvement of the past. So one of the jobs that I had previously, they did a terrible job of this. They would just change things so often and so quickly, and all the employees would just hate it. And that's what this law talks about, is too much change is too much for people sometimes. And when you're rolling out new things, like roll it out very slowly versus all at once. That's all I got from this law, right? Law 46, never appear too perfect, right? Envy creates silent enemies. It's dangerous to appear like you have no faults or weaknesses. It's smart to occasionally deflect and admit to harmless vices in order to avoid envy and appear more human and approachable. Once successful, the more people in your circle are who you should fear the most. Keep your accolades private. The height of your success heightens the feeling of their stagnation, right? I love this. They've talked about this plenty of times in this book. Like, don't go around people just bragging like you the shit or that you perfect. It's not giving you any brownie points. It's really creating envy. It's normal as human beings to think when we tell people about our accomplishments, like we're making them like they're as proud as we are, they're as excited as we are, but it's not doing that. I promise you. You will never gain admiration by flaunting the qualities that raise you above others. You will only cause envy or fake admiration. Humans have a hard time dealing with inferiority. Most people have an inflated perception of themselves. So when we meet people, we think we are more superior than they are. And when we find out we're not, we're disturbed. This is facts. This is facts. As you gain power, those below you will gain envy. They may not show it, but it's there. Read between the lines of their criticism and sarcastic remarks. I live by this, fellas, right? You think people supporting you, but they really hating, man. You got to be careful what people say. I see you doing your thing with your little YouTube channel, right? I see you got your little business. Oh man, you always in the gym. You a musclehead. It's not. That's them ain't compliments, brother. That's hate. They just disguising it, right? Be conscious of that, fellas. Downplay all your success and accolades at all times. Excessive praise can be disguised as envy. Never take envy personally. If anything, it's a compliment, right? Because they jealous of you. That means you're doing something right. If you ain't got no haters, you're doing something wrong, right? Law 47, fellas, and we almost done. We gonna wrap it up, right? Do not go past your mark you aim for. Never let greed, arrogance, or overconfidence take you too far in the heat of victory. Don't allow success to go to your head. There is no substitute for strategy and careful planning. Set a goal, and when you reach it, stop. Don't let wins go over your head. Stay humble and hungry always. I haven't really got to this point yet where like I get greedy with something. You know, maybe I might get a Urus and be like, oh, I got to get a Ferrari with it, or I don't know. You know, I just get greedy. This just says don't do that. You know, once you reach your objectives, you know, stop, thank God, and stay level, right? The last law that I got, fellas, is to assume formlessness, right? What this basically means, fellas, is that everything changes. Never bet on stability or lasting order. Always be able to adapt, right? So I like to think of this with objectives. You may have said this year, hey, I want to escape my 9 to 5 and, you know, be a barber, right? But maybe God's plan for you isn't to be a barber. It's maybe to be a content creator, right? Now that plan is still going to get you to escape your 9 to 5, but it's not the plan that you had before, right? That's what this law talks about, is just to assume formlessness, right? Because everything changes and you got to be able to adapt, right? All right. So this is definitely one of the longer modules that, you know, I've created, but my in-depth analysis on each law. And this is a powerful, powerful read. I recommend you guys listen to this as many times as you need to. Obviously, I recommend that you read the daily reads attached to this module, and I recommend that you study this book. Don't just read it, study it, fellas. And when you study it, apply it, man. Apply it. But I love y'all, boys. Peace. All right, fellas. Welcome back to another great one, man. This one we got Transurfing Reality. This is one of my favorite reads by Vadim Zeland. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And this book was actually recommended by my mentor, John Mark Stevenson, and has been one of the most life-changing books that I've ever read. Typically, I give books some time before I implement them and start making them like my daily reads, as you guys know, like splitting them up into different days. This is one of those books right after I read it. I started reading the daily reads immediately. So, because I really wanted the information to stick, and I would give this book a lot of credit of why I am where I'm at now from a financial acumen standpoint and why I am where I'm going to be. And it speaks a lot about, you know, on how, man, outside of your work ethic, how your thought process has literally full control over a lot of the things that you receive in life. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time, fellas. Let's get right into it. So start with chapter 1, fellas. Chapter 1 is titled, let me blow this up a little bit, make myself a little smaller. Okay. Chapter 1 is titled The Awakening, right? And the main takeaways I got from this chapter is that you have the power to influence things around you. From now on, everything will be as you want it to be. When you focus too much on the physical aspect of reality, reality controls you. So this was kind of like chapter 1 was given like an intro to the book. And, you know, this book goes in depth about basically what I just expressed. But one thing that I took away from this chapter is that, you know, a lot of individuals live in a physical reality. What do I mean by that, fellas? Is like they base what they can accomplish on what they see. Before there was a light bulb, Thomas Edison didn't see a light bulb. Before there was a 6'8" point guard, Maggie Johnson didn't see one. Before Kareem was doing a sky hook, there wasn't a sky hook. They didn't live in a physical reality. They lived in what they believed, right? Like we see the tree, fellas, but we don't see the roots and what's going on under those branches behind the scenes to make the tree look so big and barky, and allow it to, you know, be what it is, right? So I challenge you guys, and this is something I've implemented immediately. Don't live based off what you see, brother, because what you see doesn't mean shit. Right? If we only lived by what we see, we wouldn't have no light bulb in this motherfucker, man. You have to use your imagination and don't live in the physical reality of what you think is possible. And this isn't just with things. This is sometimes with people in our family. Like we based on what we can accomplish based on the individuals around us. Like, Fellas, I used to think 6 figures a year was hot shit because that's what my grandfather was making. But once I started, thank God for the internet in that regard. The internet has a lot of cons, but the pros of it is that you can see what's possible. So it's one thing to see what's possible, but I can tell you right now, like, I speak about this a lot, but just spending time with John Mark Steve in Miami and seeing the penthouse, the lifestyle, the expensive dinners, the Ferrari, the Lamborghini Urus, all of that stuff, seeing it in person and living it, because I was with him is another level, and that changed my aspect of what I thought was possible. But like, if I would have just went off what I was seeing was possible in my, early years of growing up, I would never be where I am now, right? Chapter 2, it talks about look at life from the outside looking in and assume control. It talks about this a lot in this book. And some of this book, it repeats a lot of things, fellas. But one thing you have to understand is good leaders are good repeaters. And some people look at that as a bad thing. I look at it as a great thing. I love when books repeat certain things because that's how it allows the information to stick. I don't know what I ate for dinner last night, but I bet if I read it every day, I'll remember. But one thing that this book repeats is to look at life from a political view like you're a third person, right? And when you do this, fellas, you're able to judge things that happen in your life logically, like you're watching a movie on your life, So like I always say, don't ask yourself why this is happening. Think, what is this trying to teach me? What was the purpose of this? What can I learn from this? What's the wisdom I can gain from this? And when you take yourself out of your body and just say, disregard the emotions and look at things from a logical view, it allows you to do this. And that's the main takeaway I got from this chapter, right? Chapter 3 is titled A Child of God, right? And this speaks about that God created us in this image, or we are made in this image. When we ask God for something, it's the same as if God asked for something himself. God doesn't ask, he just takes. Do not ask for what you want out of this life. Demand it, right? So like what I get from this man is stop thinking that you're unworthy of the things you wish to acquire, or it's a if. It's not a matter of if I'm going to make 100K a month, fellas. It's just a matter of when. I know I'm going to do it before I die, right? I know I am. It's my calling. It's what I meant to do. It's what I intend to do. It's what I demand out of life. Success is my duty. That's the main takeaway I got from this chapter, right? Chapter 4 talks about a star is born, right? And what it talks about, fellas, is that in order to achieve real success, you have to stop following widely accepted stereotypes and walk your own path. In order to avoid pendulums, you have to establish your own rules and be yourself. When you play other people's game, you can't make the rules. Whatever you do, you initiate your own game. One thing that I got from this chapter, fellas, is, I speak a lot about the pros of, pros and cons of being a business owner and having the financial freedom, the time and location freedom, right? But one thing that is not talked about enough is that I get to make my own rules. It is, at the time I'm recording this video, it is 8:58 right now. The NBA Finals is on. I've done everything for the day, but I wanted to seek more pain and just keep working. I have the freedom to do that. If I wanted to be a dweeb tomorrow, I could do that. But I'm connecting with these examples with what I got from this chapter, fellas, because if I would have followed society's norms and society's expectations, I would never be able to do that. Society teaches you, fellas, to work for 40 years, retire at 60, and enjoy your life. That shit sucks to me, man. Not only that, but I don't want to work for 40 years doing something that I was forced to do because I had to choose a fucking major before my brain was even fully developed to go to college. It's what they condition you to do, fellas. They want you to stay in the rat race because that gives them control. But when you escape that, fellas, which is what a lot of my content is about, right? But part of it is just having a mindset of like, I'm going to play by my rules, not society rules, right? And that's one of the main things I got from this chapter, right? Chapter 5, the world is a mirror, right? And it says this a lot in this book, fellas. The world is exactly what you think of it. The world agrees with everyone. Whatever you think will happen. If you think the world is an evil place, the world will be an evil place. If you think being rich is unobtainable, being rich will be unobtainable. If you think that all women are toxic, all women will be toxic. Your perception is your reality. Your frequency is what you frequently see. Your thoughts are turn into things. So if you believe that, the world will give that back, right? Which leads me basically to chapter 6. It goes even more in depth and it talks about the boomerang, right? Whatever thoughts you send into the world, they will return to you like a boomerang. If you give out negativity, you will receive it. If you give out positivity, you will receive it. If you seek out positivity, and you should seek out positivity and ignore everything else and concentrate your attention on the things that you want, right? So me, staying up late to record this module, right? Maybe, I'm not sure how many people are watching this, but maybe there's one person and there's one thing that I said that really changed the trajectory of their life. Me giving out that positivity will be given back to me, right? The reason you don't see me come on here and be, ultra negative, because I know that negativity will be directed back to me, right? So it speaks that life is a boomerang. A lot of times, fellas, we're built in negative environments. It could be some of us raised in the hood, some of us raised around parents that was toxic, siblings that was toxic, neighborhoods that was toxic. You got to break that cycle, because if you just say, I'm going to act like this because that's how I was raised and that's the environment I was around, that's what it'll give back to you. Now, everybody has dealt different cards. You got to make the most out of the cards you were dealt. But one thing you got to understand, fellas, is that whatever you give out into the world, right, as far as your thoughts and your attitude and your emotions, you'll receive back. The world is a boomerang, right? And I've seen this happen, firsthand, not only with my life, but with my grandfather. My grandfather's a wonderful man. He's a pastor, great husband, great father, great grandfather, and he gives so much that I see God. This book uses the world, but I think it's God. Bless him so much. So this is very important. Chapter 7, it talks about the illusory reflection, right? And it basically speaks on, instead of not liking what you see in the mirror and staring at it, turn away from it and start creating a picture in your mind of what you would like to see. Take control of your thoughts. Don't think about the things you don't want and try to avoid. Only think about the things you do want and are striving to achieve, right? So I don't wake up every day and say, I don't want to be an old wrinkled dweeb when I'm 40. I don't want to have a chick that cheats on me, and I don't want my parents to think I'm a failure. Right? I wake up every single day like, how can I make $100K a month? How can I drop a Lamborghini Urus? And how can I retire my mom? I'm focused on the positives, right? So it says when you look in the mirror, don't focus on the things you're deficient in. Focus on your strengths, right? That's the main thing I got from this chapter, right? Chapter 8, and I know I'm flowing really fast, but one, fellas, there's 78 chapters, right? And two, these chapters are extremely short, right? So when it seems like I'm not being a dweeb, like they just get straight to the point, and then you move on to the next chapter, which is another thing that I love about this book. Like these chapters are 2 pages long in the book, right? Chapter 8, right? It speaks about the pink twins. I love this. And it says, if the majority of your thoughts are related to negative experiences, your life will get worse each day. But the opposite is always true. If you're continuously thinking of positive experiences, fellas, your life will get better every day, right? It gives an example and says that prison is not your world, right? But it can become your world if you focus on criminal information and activities. The opposite is also true, right? If I wake up every day and focus on like mansions and millionaires, eventually that will come in my life, fellas. And I can honestly say firsthand that I used to dream and just envision the life that I have now. I'm so caught up in the grind. I don't really do a lot of reflecting. But if you said, yo, in 2026, you will be jacked, making 20 to 30K a month, have a very feminine woman that you're dating. You'll have a business and be able to work whenever you want to, wherever you want to, be in a 2-bedroom, apartment that is like damn near the square footage of a 3-bedroom in Dallas, Texas, where it's hot. You pay $90 for a gym membership that has the best, like just describing the details of my life. I'm not saying that to brag, fellas, but a lot of this stuff I envisioned for myself, and I made it happen. And I'm doing the same thing with this journey to making $100K a month for retire my mother. I'm constantly thinking about the positives of my future, right? Focus your attention deliberately on the things you want to see in your word and turn away from everything else. Evil will never disappear from the reality, but it can vanish from your layer of the world. So don't focus on the negatives, fellas. Focus on what you're set out to accomplish and the positives of that, right? And a lot of this stuff is so simple, fellas, but we don't practice this regularly. That's the thing. You have to do this stuff regularly, like you would brush your teeth, right? The next chapter is the sigh of relief, right? Procrastination of plans is draining your energy, and low frequency affects transurfing in a negative light. You will feel relieved taking on actions you keep putting off. I'll be honest with you, fellas, this specific video I've been putting off, right? I've been putting off. This is actually the second video I've made today, and I've been putting off both of them. But after I recorded the first one, it was 90 minutes. I felt super relieved. And after I record this one and I go to bed, I'm going to be super relieved. Like, wow, I just recorded over 2 hours of, videos in one day and took 3 calls, right? I'm going to be extremely relieved, but being relieved only comes from taking action. This book doesn't speak on it, but there's something in Atomic Habits that talks about the 5-minute rule. If you can get over that first 5 minutes of starting a task, fellas, at that point, you're already in it, right? Procrastination is poison, is what this chapter talks about, and it can lower your frequency of transurfing your thoughts into reality, right? Because our thoughts, our imagination is the magic, and you have to put it into action immediately. The standard should always be to decrease the time when you think of something and when you put it into action. This chapter validates that, right? You're just decreasing the probability of you you're turning your thoughts into things when you continuously put it off, because statistically, the longer you wait to put it off, you're decreasing the probability that you're going to get it done. So just get it done, right? Chapter 10, fellas, It's titled Release, right? And it's very simple. It just states that life will give you everything you intend to have if you are convinced it's already yours. I speak about this all the time. The Lamborghini Urus, it's already mine. Me making 100K a month, it's already mine. I'm looking down at it. I'm just watching me on the journey. I truly believe that, man, because it was a point of time where the BMW wasn't mine yet, but I thought it was. It was a point of time when the beard, I didn't have it, but I thought I knew I was going to get it. Where the being jacked and having the tax, I didn't have it, but I thought it was going to get it. It's already mine. You have to believe it's already yours. It just ain't. It's not physically there yet, but it's yours. I know there's a Lamborghini with my name on it. I know it, fellas. It's coming. I just got to keep putting in the work, trust the process, and follow a lot of the principles that this book is reading. But this chapter just simply states, life will give you everything you intend to have if you are convinced it's already yours, right? Chapter 11 talks about confidence, and it says, in order to be confident, you have to let go your attachment to the need to be confident. Insecurities and overestimate comes from overestimating the important. I love this. Insecurities come from overestimating the importance of things. Downplay everything. If nothing is of excessive importance to me, the world is pure and transparent. The more important your goal is, the greater you desire to achieve it, the greater feeling of insecurity, right? So in order to be confident, fellas, this book talks about this a lot. It's just to downplay everything. A Lamborghini, it's just a car. $100,000 is just 100,000 pieces of paper. Retiring my mother, there's a lot of other men that have done it. It's really not that deep. You got to downplay everything. A lot of unconfidence and insecurities come from you looking up at it. Look down at this shit. I say it all the time, but I want you to think of yourself as a level 10 person, and every problem and things that's making you insecure is a 5 and below, right? The purest form of this is women, fellas. If you're insecure with approaching a woman or kissing a girl on a date or escalating the sex with a woman you've been dating, it's just because you are basically like overplaying it. What's the worst that could happen? Right? You got to downplay everything, man. You got to have a healthy amount of I don't give a fuck on this journey. And this book validated that for me as well, right? Next, it talks about balance, right? And when it speaks about balance, fellas, what it basically says is that do not try to overcome obstacles. Instead, drop their importance. Piggybacking on what I just said. When you want something too much and try to force it, you will get the opposite result you're intended for. I love to continue to use women as an example because that's something we all can relate to. When you are like, oh, where the hoes at? It's super hard to find women, and a lot of times you will find the wrong woman. But when you locked in on your purpose and don't really care about chicks, women just fall in your lap. That's exactly what happened with the chick I'm talking to. Wasn't really looking for no chicks, just went to boxing. She ended up approaching me, telling me I smell good. Just fell in my lap. Now you got to be careful because every chick that fall in your lap is not for you. You got to do your justice of, picking the right woman, right? But a lot of times, fellas, I'm using women as an example, but in life, man, like focus on the inputs and everything else will be aligned. When you once I don't wake like I'm hungry for the Lamborghini yours, but it's more so like I'm reminding myself of my outputs and I'm focused on the inputs. But like if I woke up every day like Lamborghini every single day, I'll be extremely stressed out in a negative light. Right. If I'm gonna be stressed out, it's gonna be about the inputs and what do I need to do to get a Lamborghini, not the actual Lamborghini. And that's what I got from this chapter. Right. Chapter 13, fellas, talks about the charismatic soul. And it speaks on that charismatic people throw out negativity in their mind and replace it with positivity. Charm is a result of mutual love that exists in the heart and mind. Accept and love yourself as who you are, and this light will radiate outwards, and people will be drawn to you like moths in a light bulb, right? So, all in all, fellas, like I preach, you want to check every single C. Cuts charisma. Charisma is very important, man. You want to be a man that other women want to be with and men want to be like. This chapter validated that for me, but it was talking about more so in the hearts and the minds of other people in terms of bringing the things that you think about into fruition in real life, right? It piggybacks on this in the next chapter, fellas, and it talks about to love yourself, right? If you do not love yourself, no one else will, and you will never be happy. Any conflict between your heart and your mind will affect your character. Love yourself and only pay attention to the positive qualities of others. Like I read this from another book, fellas. I've never met a successful individual that wasn't confident and didn't love themselves to a certain extent, right? You think that you chosen the wrong vehicle. You think you don't work hard enough for learning how to. You just don't love yourself enough. All discipline is self-love, fellas, right? You got to love yourself on this journey, man. Through the ups and the downs, you got to love you. I love me. Through the skinny dweeb me, the escape my 9 to 5 me, the dweeb me, the 1% me, I love me, right? Because I know my full potential and I know what I'm striving for and I know what I'm capable of, right? In chapter 15, fellas, it's titled I Am My Goal. And what I got from this chapter is to always take care of yourself, right? Looking out for yourself should be the number one goal if you don't have one. The world is a mirror. People cannot love you unless you love you, fellas, right? How can you expect a woman to treat you right if you don't treat yourself right? How come you expect people to respect your business when you don't respect your business? You don't respect yourself. You don't keep the promises you make to yourself. You should be your number one priority. I give this analogy a lot, fellas. If you on an airplane and the airplane is crashing, they tell you to put your mask on first before you put on anybody else's. Why is that? Because if you don't, you will die. A lot of y'all motherfuckers be putting on other people's masks and you ain't even got yourself on. You got to take care of you. You can't be the best father if you're not the best you. You can't be the best business owner if you're not the best you. You can't be the best spouse if you're not the best you, right? So you have to be the number one priority at all times, fellas, right? Next thing that I get into is faith, right? Faith comes from taking action on these principles, right? And it talks about in terms of having faith with everything that this book is teaching, right? When you see that transurfing works, you will not need faith. You will have knowledge instead. Believe in yourself. Do not rely on others' opinions. True success grows out of the ruins of your failures. Most prominent figures have been through a lot. If you have suffered failure, rejoice you on the path to success. Sometimes you will feel as the circumstances are stacked against you. Yet, how can you really know exactly which path will lead you to your goal? Take action and everything else will come into physical reality. This is one of my favorite chapters, fellas. And the main thing I got from this chapter is that faith comes from failure, right? Faith comes from failure. You have to fail to believe, right? The reason that I'm so delusional, fellas, not only with my beliefs and my work ethic as well, like you can't have a delusional faith but not a good work ethic, right? But the reason I'm so delusional with the things I can obtain, like I speak about making 100K a month. I post it every single morning on my Instagram. I know there's some people that watch it that may have known me from college or my family members that just think I'm just, I don't know, nuts, right? But the reason I have so much belief in faith is because I failed before in my life and I've overcome it. I failed having basketball surgery and not being able to play it again, then having to figure out my life. I failed at music and then having to pivot to corporate America where I was able to work my way up to a six-figure opportunity. I've navigated dealing with, women, and every woman that I've got from there has been better. I've dealt with so much adversity and failures. My failure resume is so large and I have proof of concept of overcoming obstacles that how can I not believe? I'm him. But that's where a lot of men fuck up. When they fail, they retreat and they never try to do anything else with their life. And that's why they lack faith. I've never seen an individual just like every individual that made it, fellas, the number one underlying trait that they have is they just never quit, right? And when you never quit, that builds faith, right? Chapter 17, fellas, it talks about feelings of guilt, right? As soon as you notice the slightest trace of guilt, get rid of it. Live in your true convictions and you never will experience guilt. Explain your actions only when it is necessary. Stop feeling as if you owe something to others. It's basically just saying like own up to your mistakes, man, and when you fuck up. Don't feel like you owe anybody anything. Like, of course, apologize and stand on morals and principles as a man, but always live in your true convictions. You know what I'm saying? Always be you, right? The next chapter is called Self-Worth, fellas, and this is a pretty straight head on. The harder you try to show your worth, the less significant you become. And it's the same vice versa, right? Don't ever try to prove yourself to other people. Let your work do the talking. Let your actions do the talking. The more that you prove yourself or try to, the less value that you'll perceive to have, right? Chapter 19 is called The Master's Credo, right? And this basically speaks on to always be yourself. Do not change or render who you are under any circumstances. When you stay true to yourself, the heart and the mind become one, and this will allow you to take action regardless of other people's opinions. So another chapter just doubling down on fuck what everybody else got to say, follow your heart, right? Chapter 20, it talks about your true path, right? Your path, aka fellas, your purpose, right, must always follow your heart. This is one of my favorite chapters, right? When you go your own way, you will have incomparable feeling that everything will turn out just as you want it to. When your heart and your mind are in harmony, everything else is automatic and falls into place. When they are not in harmony, for example, the heart is asking for something that the mind is afraid of, right? It is important to act consciously and prudent. I love this a lot. Your heart and your mind have to work together like a right and a left leg, right? The fastest way for me to go to my kitchen is to walk versus to hop on one foot. So if you just have your heart in it, but your mind's not in it, you won't succeed. And if you just have your mind in it, but your heart's not in it, you won't succeed. What this chapter is kind of doubling down on is that most people, they got their mind in it, but they don't have their heart into it. And their heart, it must be in harmony. That's why like with me, fellas, my mind is sharp. I know what I need to do. I'm disciplined. I'm motivated. But at the same time, I love what I do. And I'm passionate about getting God's results. I'm passionate about retiring my mother. My heart is in it. I know that this is God's calling for me, right? So whatever your purpose is, fellas, it's very important. Not always, fellas. Sometimes your heart, I heard Iman Gandhi say like like you have to create your passion. Sometimes your heart might not be in it at first until you start doing something and you get some results. But in some way, shape, or form, your heart will get into it. Rather, it's the service you're providing or what you being exceptional at your service can provide the loved ones around you. Like if you think of a construction worker, I'm sure he isn't his heart isn't in construction working, but his heart is in what he can do with those funds from construction working. Right? That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we get into chapter 21, and this talks about the master's verdict, right? Our whole life, people have been telling me what to do, how to live, and what to strive for. It's up to us to decide what is right for us and what isn't because we shape our world. You are either a person who accepts other people's verdict or you are the master of your own. You can never take the right action when you doubt yourself. This doubles down on what I said before to not fall into society's norms of what they want you to be. But I think this more so was talking about from the limbs of not society, but more so the people and individuals around you. A lot of times, fellas, your parents will tell you should do this. Your friends say, don't do this, do that. Your spouse say, don't do this, do that. You have to follow what you want to fucking do. It is your life. And that's the clarification that I got from this chapter, right? Chapter 22, fellas, declaration intention, right? And it speaks on in order to shape reality, you have to control your thoughts and not let them run away with you. Do not do anything for the fuck of it. Everything must have intention. It's easier said than done, but it takes reps. I love this. This means your thoughts will drift and still be this means when your thoughts drift, still be conscious that it is happening, right? So I have in my notes for this book, fellas, say your thoughts to yourself throughout the day of what you want to achieve, right? So me, throughout the day, on the days where I'm mindful of this, especially when I was reading the daily reads, I was saying I'll make 100K a month just the whole time through the day, right? But what this is talking about is just to make sure everything that you're doing has intention, right? You know, even the little things of why am I tracking my macros because I want to be ripped? Why am I recording this module to help my brothers in 1% Academy, right? Why do I have to wake up early to make sure that I get 2 hours earlier or 30 more days at the end of the year than the average individual because I'm waking up 2 hours earlier than them and I want to beat people to the objectives that I wish to obtain? Why am I drinking water? Because I know not drinking water is not giving a point to the physique that I wish to acquire. Just do everything with intention. Always know why you're doing things. And this will provide so much clarity for you because a lot of things that we do, fellas, it doesn't have any intention, at least to our long-term objectives, only to temporary comfort, right? At the time I'm recording this, a lot of people are watching the NBA finals. If they ask themselves why I'm watching the NBA finals, it would be to escape my reality or because I like basketball. But does liking basketball contribute to the minutes you want to be long term? Maybe it does. Maybe like you got to watch film or some shit. But 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. So just always question why you're doing something and make sure it aligns with your long term objectives, fellas. Right? Chapter 23 is titled Resolve to Act. And the main thing I got from this chapter, fellas, is again to never procrastinate. Only act on the things you need or want. Let go of all worrying thoughts. Ditch all anxiety. Hope and desire is all that you have left to form a calm confidence. Focus on what it feels like to get what you want without all sorts of conditions, reasonings, or reasons about it, right? For example, I don't think about whether it'll be time for the bus, whether the bus will come or how long I have to wait. I simply walk to the bus stop knowing it'll arrive at any moment. Let this state accompany you everywhere. It is not desires that lead to manifestation. It is the affirmations of those desires that lead to manifestation. You must be certain. Whatever you do, do it with confidence. There's always a possibility of failure, but you would decrease the probability when you aren't wavering faith. I love this, fellas, right? There was I'm just going to say his name, my brother Corey, right? Shout out to my brother Corey. At the time I'm recording this, he just accepted a great job opportunity. But in the beginning, when he was applying for jobs and we were preparing for an interview, he was like, there's no way I'm just going to know everything that they're going to ask me. And if you go into the interview like that, you're increasing the probability that you'll fuck up. But if you go into the interview like, you know what, I am going to answer everything correctly. Even if you don't, you increase the probability that you would have. Right? You do. Fellas, there's some videos I make like, damn, I don't really know I'm going to perform this vid. But I don't think like that. I think like, man, I'm the best at what I fucking do. These niggas can't fuck with me. And that confidence and that aura is outward. And the reason you're watching this video, especially up until this point, right? So like whatever you do, do it with confidence, fellas. Regardless if you think you'll fail or not, you'll decrease the probability of failing if you go in there like, I'm him and it's not going to happen. Right? Everything's going to work out in my favor. That has to be the mentality, right? Next chapter, fellas, is titled Resolve to Have, right? And I love this, fellas. Let go of desire to achieve your goal. Be dispassionate. Desire is when you focus your attention to the goal. Internal intention is when you focus your attention on the process of progressing toward those goals, right? So I had one of my brothers in 1% Academy ask me on a group call, what was the leading indicators that you knew that coach creation was your purpose? And I told him a bunch of things. But one of the number one components that connects directly with this chapter, fellas, is that I had a healthy amount of I don't give a fuck and being dispassionate with it. Right. I'm gonna give my all in every single video, right? But if you guys hate the video and it doesn't get a lot of views or people talk shit about it, I promise you I wouldn't give a fuck, bro. Right. The reason that I failed at music is because I didn't have this healthy amount of being dispassionate. Right. I care too much about it. If my friends didn't post my music, I would fail. You have to have a certain amount of I don't give a fuck with shit you can't control. I can't control when I get a Lamborghini Urus, but I can control showing up every single day and getting that powerless complete. I can't control if every video goes viral, but I can show up every single day and control what I can control and make sure it's the best video of all time as far as my inputs. So that's what you have to focus on, to be dispassionate and have an I don't give a fuck mentality with the outputs. And once you start doing that, fellas, everything will flow to you abundantly. I promise you, right? Chapter 25, world cleanup. Rearranging your environment will give you a spark of energy and joy. Creating is the best cure to depression. The main thing as I got from this book, fellas, and I couldn't agree more. If you find yourself in a rut, clean your environment, your car and your crib. That will help you get out of that rut. And a lot of times, man, I have so many guys in 1% Academy that go through different trials and tribulations, and it sounds so toxic when I tell them this. I'm like, bro, anytime you think about that shit, just work. Always revert back to the work. That's one of the biggest, something I don't say enough in my videos, fellas. Anytime I'm depressed or feeling uneasy or dealing with something in a personal relationship in my life that has my emotions all over the place, I revert back to the work. And it's like I'm subconsciously habit stacking. Anytime I feel uneasy, to revert back to the work, which is so much better than reverting back to the alcohol, reverting back to the masturbation, reverting back to the smoking weed. I'm reverting to something that's giving the point to the man I need to be. I'm channeling that anger or whatever the emotion is into being who I am. And that's what this chapter talks about, is that basically creating is the best cure to depression, right? Chapter 26, waves of success, right? Keep a sparkle of prior feelings when you have achieved success, right? When feeling wonderful becomes a habit, you will find yourself permanently on the crest of wave of success, right? A positive attitude always leads to creativity and success. I'm a person, I tell you guys a lot, man, don't focus stay level. Don't focus too much on the highs and the lows. But at certain times throughout your life, fellas, it's very important to reflect back on your wins. If I have a week that's shaky in business or a month that's shaky in business, I always revert back to, well, I just had X business, or I just had this video go viral, or this video do well. I can do it again. Like I often, sometimes on moments where I'm low, I reflect on those positive moments. And maybe it's not directly correlated with your purpose, like the examples I'm giving, fellas, but there's some amount of success that you've had in your life, even if it's on the smallest scale, that you can always reflect back and say, if I got through that, I can get through this. And that's what this chapter tells you to do, right? Chapter 27, chasing the reflection. Once you change you, everything will turn out the way you want it to be. Your thought must always be focused on what you want, not what we don't want. Once you do this, that is all you should see in the mirror. The mirror has no choice. Sooner or later, it will reflect the image of the person you're creating. So I always tell you guys, success is not about what you obtain. It's about how much pain you can stand. But also, success is not about what you want to obtain. It's about who you have to become. So when I'm talking about myself, fellas, if I want to make 100K a month, drive a Lamborghini Urus, be the man I need to be, I'm thinking of the identity of the man that does that. The man that makes 100K a month recorded this video at 9:23 at night when he didn't have to. The man is making 100K a month is waking up at 5 a.m. The man is making 100K a month went through a season of no, right? So I'm adopting the identity of that individual. And then once I start doing that, like what I see in the mirror will automatically reflect, right? And I'll become that person, right? A lot of times people think, oh, I'll start being disciplined once with my money, once I make more money. No, I'll be that person now, right? I clean my Lamborghini. I come on, Lamborghini, right? See, I did it right there. I clean my BMW and I clean my crib like I drive a Lamborghini Urus and live in a penthouse in Miami. I treat these material things like the material things I wish to acquire, because that's my identity. That's who I am. You must do the same in your life, fellas, right? Chapter 28 talks about creating an image, right? In order for a thought form to become rooted in physical reality, it has to be produced systematically, right? So all this says is that, and I firmly believe this because I see so many creators, they This is why I think that, well, at least I'm trying to be special with this content and this coaching shit, because there's a lot of creators that preach that all you need is discipline and hard work. There's a lot of creators that preach fuck hard work, all you need is faith. And this book validated that you need both. It's like a right and a left leg, right? So you can't just believe in yourself and have the worst work ethic, and you can't have the best work ethic and believe in yourself, because the moment you hit some friction, you'll fold, right? So this is basically validating what I already thought. In order for something to become rooted in physical reality, it has to be produced systematically. And all systematically means is your routine and doing the work that you need to do on a consistent basis, right? Next, we get into chapter 29. World, give yourself to me. When you want something from the world, fellas, don't pressure the world to give it to you, right? Whatever you want in this life, you will have to take the first step to meet it in the middle, right? Let go of intentions to receive and place it with intentions to give. Whatever you need, give to others and yours will come. There's so many things to take away from this, fellas. One thing that I like that this chapter said is that whatever you want in this life, you will have to take the first step and meet it halfway. So if this, I'm not sure if you guys can see me. Let me blow myself up a little bit, right? If this is you, right, and right here is everything you want in life, it's not going to come right to you, right? But it will meet you in the middle, right? You ever hear that successful people are just so lucky and everything just gets easier once you become successful? It's because they meet in the middle. A lot of people, they have that faith and they think success and God is just supposed to, oh, here you go. God is not going to bless people making $100K a month until he knows that I'm ready to do so. I have to meet him in the middle with doing so. He knows my intentions are pure and what I want to do with those funds, right? But he's not going to give me that until I meet him in the middle, which is adopting that identity in any of the C's, right? So you have to meet what you want in the middle. That's the first thing I got. The second thing I got is that let go of your intention to receive and replace it with your intention to give. I love this, fellas, right? The most successful men are the ones that provide the most to others, right? Jeff Bezos is so successful financially because he provides so many, he solves a lot of problems for so many people. He provides so much value. LeBron James makes so much money for other people. You guys have no idea how much the NBA makes from LeBron James. That's why he's so valuable, right? So when you are trying to get something, especially in the business world, don't focus on how can I get this. Focus on how can I provide value to the marketplace, which is something I speak about all the time. But this chapter validated that for me, right? Next thing we get into is here, world, have me, right? All the problems we face with other people are a result of their conflicted internal intentions. Shift your attention from yourself to other people and success will be inevitable. What are other people's problems and solve it? Stop playing the game of increasing your worth and play the game of making others feel greater self-worth. Don't talk about people. Talk about things that interest you. Talk about things that interest them, right? So, fella, I'm the purest form of this, fellas. Cry, you want to hit 100K a month? How can you help more men? Because if you help more men, you'll hit 100K a month. So it just piggybacks on chapter 39, fellas. But I love from this chapter, shift your attention from yourself to other people and success will be inevitable. I promise you, fellas, right? Next, we get into chapter 31 and it talks about the oyster effect, right? Respond positively to the positives in life, right? Most people just focus on the negatives. Don't be most people, right? So I give this analogy a lot, but there's two types of people. People that see the donut and people that see the hole. I want you motherfuckers to start seeing the donut, man, with everything that happens in your life. What are the positives of this? You know, what experience did you gain from this? What can you learn from this? Right? Always have that mindset, right? Chapter 32, fellas, it speaks about the master's intention, right? While in the mirror, move yourself instead of the reflection, which means change your attitude and your focus. Place your order of what you want in the world and allow it to process it for you, right? So this is basically all in all, fellas, when you analyzing yourself, focus on your strengths and what you want out of life, not what you don't want and your weaknesses. It just triples down on that. Chapter 33, fellas, the pendulum rule. The pendulum rule states to do as I do, right? And this basically means change yourself to change yourself. Never be a puppet to other people's standards and expectations. Set your own. So again, I'm repeating a lot of the information, fellas, but I believe the author just wanted this to stick with, a lot of the principles that he's preaching. And I love that he did that. Right. But again, never live to other people's expectations, only your own. Don't be, I'm not going to be the cry my father wants me to be. I'm going to be the cry wants me to be. I'm not going to be the cry my mom wants me to be. I'm going to be the cry that cry wants to be. Right. Have that mentality at all times. Right. Next, it talks about the transurfing rule. And the transurfing rule, fellas, is to give yourself permission to be yourself and allow others to do the same. Be you and withdraw expectations from others, right? There was a quote, I forget how it goes, and it basically states something along the lines of like, um, never have any expectations lead to disappointments. Never have any expectations of people. That's the main takeaway I got from this chapter. A lot of times in life, fellas, we want people to be like us or think like us or want people to be so great. Now, if that's the service of my business to want people to be great. But a lot of the people, the everyday people we meet in life, fellas, just detach from them. Let them be them, and it will save yourself a lot of stress if you just focus on you, right? Chapter 35 is one of my favorite chapters, fellas. It talks about dropping importance, right? Unbalanced and negative emotions are all a result of overstating the importance of things. Problems do not exist. All they are is artificially inflated evaluation of the importance of things. Do not play down to their meaning, just reduce their importance, right? By reducing the importance, you will instantly return to a state of balance and pendulums won't be able to control you. So again, fellas, I'm not telling you to don't give a fuck about nothing, but understand that it matters, but not that much. If I get into a car accident tomorrow, it matters, but not that much. It's just a material thing. Am I still breathing? Do I still got my five senses? Right? Now, with things that can't be fixed with Jim, the money, and God, like if you're facing jail time for something you didn't do, if a family member is in danger or dead, or something in that regard, that is has all the importance of the world. But what I got from this chapter is that more times than not, like the problems that we think and the shit that we looking up at and the shit that we stressed about and the anxiety that we have, I promise you, you're not gonna die. You're fine. And 9 times out of 10, especially if you're watching this, the shit that you're complaining about or that you're stressed about or that you're not downplaying is you being right in the middle of what the fuck you prayed for as a man. You prayed for growth, brother. Well, growth is uncomfortable. Uncomfortability can look different on a day-to-day basis. You got to embrace that, right? Next, we get into chapter 26 and 36, I'm sorry, and it talks about ending the battle, right? The world is a mirror that reflects your relationship to it. When you are unhappy with the world, it turns away from you. When you battle with the world, it will battle with you. When you stop battling the world, it meets you halfway. If you simply give yourself permission to have what you envision, outer intention will find a way to give it to you. That one fine day, something will happen, and others will call it a miracle, right? So again, if you meet what you want in the middle and put in the work, right? Like there's a quote I heard John Mark say a long time ago. You want to pray like it's up to God, but work like it's up to you. I love that because it is up to God, but I'm going to work like it's up to me, right? To just make it impossible not to get there. This chapter validated that for me, right? Chapter 37, it talks about coordinating intention, right? If you intend to look at the events in a positive light, that is exactly what they be. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, even better. When things don't work out, it is protecting us from problems that we cannot see. Every time you face any kind of event in your life, you choose how you respond. As soon as something that makes you angry, 9 times out of 10, an unpleasant situation follows. Troubles come in threes. One of the most powerful chapters. And there's two major takeaways I got from this. Make sure you pay close attention, right? The first takeaway, it says, when things don't work out, it's protecting us from problems that we cannot even see. I couldn't agree with this more, fellas, right? When you think, damn, why this chick keep rejecting me, that chick would have ruined your fucking life. When you think, why didn't I get approved for this apartment, man? Maybe you really couldn't afford it, right? When you think, damn, why did my car break down? It was time for you to get a new one, brother. When you think, damn, why did this chick cheat? Brother, she was never for you. Right? When you think, damn, why did this friend backstab me? They were never your friend. I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And when things happen, it's protecting us from problems that we can't see, especially when you're a child of God. I wholeheartedly believe that. So that's the first takeaway. So don't always be like, damn, why isn't this happening yet? It's not time yet. It's protecting you from something, right? The next takeaway is that as soon as you let something make you angry, 9 times out of 10, something unpleasant follows. Troubles always comes in threes, right? So like, this is so true. Like, I've woke up days and I was mad that my alarm didn't go off. So then I show up to my deep work session and my quality of work is affected. Then my quality of work is affected. So it affects, how the video performs, and then the video performs bad. Then I start overthinking, and then, I'm overthinking. I'll order Wingstop to just like numb the stress. And I'm mad that I ordered all food out to eat. It's troubles come in threes. You got to stop that first one and be like, you know what? I'm not going to let this affect me. I'm going to have a positive, like I always say, fellas, you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it. Always react positively, because if you don't, more stuff will start happening. And the opposite is also true as well, which is the beautiful thing about it. When you start, like have moments in your life where like, man, everything's just going great. It's because you looking at it like everything's going great. Like you, fellas, this shit runs deep, man. You got full control over this shit. I promise you, right? Chapter 38, fellas, it speaks about my world cares, right? Always state this affirmation, and it is that my world takes care of me. And this kind of piggybacks on chapter 36, fellas. What is happening in your life is supposed to happen. Your world takes care of you. Always know that, right? Chapter 39 speaks about being against the flow, right? And it speaks on stop trying to control others and just observe. I spoke about this a little bit recently. Get out of life's way and just go with the flow. There's no point of always trying to battle with external situations into your way of life. Relax. Rather than trying to be in control, try to observe more. Don't be so quick to dismiss, object, argue, insist, or intervene or criticize. All in all, fellas, it's just to shut the fuck up. You can't win an argument at all times. Just go with the flow. Everybody doesn't have to agree with you. Everybody doesn't have to be on the same page as you. People can have way different ideals, habits, of what they believe and whatever the case may be. Don't sweat it. Now, obviously, if you're a parent, it's a little different. If you're a service-based business like myself, where you help men, it's a little bit different. But all in all, on an everyday basis, like just like let things go with the flow. Like you meet a chick and you have your standards and obligations, and you don't want to fall in line with that. Move on. Don't stress yourself out about it, man. Right? Go against the flow. Right? Chapter 40 speaks on with variance flow, right? Make it a rule to always solve things the simplest way possible. This was a major one for me that I love from this book. When faced with a problem, ask yourself, what's the simplest way of doing this? People naturally want to find complex solutions for small problems. Don't be most people. I was most people till probably about 6 months ago. I always thought that something had to be extremely hard or like it didn't feel right to me. Like I always questioned things that were smooth. And what I've noticed a lot about these successful individuals is they go through a phase in their life where they got to work hard, but then they start working smart and they start optimizing and they start delegating and they start utilizing AI and they become better. And that's the point I'm at right now, fellas. I'm still gonna like have the intensity of my tenaciousness, right? But I want to always like on a day-to-day basis. It's not how can I make this as hard as possible? How can I make this high leverage task as easy as possible while maintaining the quality? And that's what I'm constantly thinking of on a day-to-day basis. You know, like this Miro board, for instance, fellas, I used to just make these manually and I figured out a way for Claude to do it for me. That's not me being lazy. That's me finding the simplest way to do the same exact task without sacrificing the quality. Right. So that's what this chapter speaks about, fellas, right? Chapter 41, the habit of remembering, right? Try to wake up several times through the day and be alert when your mind wanders and what you need to be putting your attention on and attention to, right? There'll be times throughout the day, man, where again, you're not moving with intention, fellas. You just like, you lost in the day. Don't let that happen, right? Good leaders are great repeaters. You don't need more information. You just need to be reminded of the information you already know, right? That's why, fellas, if you're in One Percent Academy, I have you read your list of hate at certain times, read your letter to self at certain times, read your villain versus hero at certain times, log your power list every night. Like your perception is your reality, your frequency is what you frequently see. Right? Your life is a product of your actions are a product of your thoughts, and your thoughts are a product of what you consume. If all you're consuming is your whys, right? It's hard to just go through the day and not know why you're doing certain things and not moving with intention. Right? Chapter 42, it speaks about smashing stereotypes. Never listen to people who tell you that nothing is achieved except through hard work and that you will have to slave away for the benefit of someone else for the rest of your life. Basically, fellas, stop listening to everybody else about life. When you choose to live life to the fullest outside of the norms, you are considered a wanderer. Give yourself permission to receive what your soul desires. If you genuinely believe you are worthy of your dreams, give yourself permission to have one thing you want with all your heart, and then life will give it to you. Right? So, like, I'm kind of conflicted with this because I think you do need hard work, but I will say just hard work won't get you success, especially massive success. Like you have to believe tremendously and adopt a lot of the principles that I'm speaking about today, right? Chapter 43 speaks on visualizing the process, right? Constantly admire how excellent your work is, right? Be positive and continuously tell yourself you will outdo what you did yesterday. This is extremely important. If you visualize the process, the layer of your personal world will rush towards the dream at lightning speed. Imagine yourself, like these are my notes, fellas, but imagine yourself creating the best YouTube videos of all time or closing 10 people back to back. Right? Like you have to visualize these things. One, but two, also admire how great you are at your craft. Right? There's a lot of people that, ask me how do you stay persistent and just continuously show up and do the boring things, even though the results ain't here yet. It's because I focus on input results. Even with these videos specifically, fellas, I used to have to like mess up. Like if you, I'm not sure if you guys can see this pause button over here. Maybe you can't. But there's like a pause button to the left side of my screen, and I used to have to keep pausing and keep messing up to like keep going. Now I don't have to do that, right? So like I constantly admire that. I constantly admire what we call input standards and input results, right? So yeah, I didn't retire my mother or drive a Lamborghini Urus yet, but I just recorded 2 YouTube videos in one day that took me 3 hours to do, and then I used to not be able to do that, right? It was harder for me to make these Miro boards and these modules. Now it's easy. Same with my group calls. I'm 20 group calls in at the time of recording this video. Each one gets easier and easier. Even like performing them is easy as fuck now, but even preparing for them gets easier as well. Like building out the call, coming up with ideas, right? So I'm constantly admiring how excellent I am and how great I am at what I do. But that only comes, fellas, when you put in the work, right? Next, we get into chapter 44, and it speaks about slides, right? Most people only take action within their physical reality based on common sense. This is how you can separate yourself and get an advantage. Continuously run goal slides through your mind, and it will manifest into physical reality. Once you do this, opportunities will just pop up out of nowhere. So again, about don't live in the physical reality of what you see, fellas. Live in what your imagination tells you that you can obtain, and shit will just start popping up out of nowhere. I promise you, right? Chapter 45 speaks about path to your goal. Drop the importance of your goal. Being scared and fearful of failure and defeat is the only thing that keeps you from achieving it. If you focus on the goal as if you've already achieved it, after some time, outer intention will open the door and opportunity for you. All you have to do is make your order and leave the rest to the waiter. So it speaks about like the things that you wish to obtain of life. All you have to do is ask for it, put in the work, and eventually it'll be yours as long as you don't quit. As simple as that is, fellas, that's the recipe to life. Now, there's different nuances of how you can speed up your order and did you order the right thing. But all in all, if you put in the work and you wait for your order, it will come. It's really that simple, right? Chapter 46 talks about doors. All doors are in this book is the term, it just means opportunities to reach your goal. And if you feel spiritually uplifted and inspired, you have found your door, right? People often stop doing their passion for financial reasons and spend their life divided by hobbies and real work. The goal should be to earn income from your hobbies, right? So this is one thing I did a good job with. Like I loved music, so I thought that was my door. I love content creation, so I know it's my door now. But fellas, I love what I do. Sometimes like you have to create your passion and your passion will come later on. And I believe this is case by case. But for me, I was blessed to be an opportunity where I can earn income from my hobbies. I already go to the gym. I'm earning income from that. I get to help people, something I already probably would do if I couldn't get paid for it. Now I get to get paid for it. I'm using the same system that I provide to my guys in 1% Academy, you guys, so like I'm blessed to be able to do what I love to do. And this basically talks about the financial objectives that you wish to obtain. You got to figure out, if you feel uplifted and inspired when you do it and stick with it. Now I'll kind of counteract this one because a lot of times you'll feel uplifted in the beginning, but if it's not hitting, you'll get discouraged. That's just part of the process. But there should be some spark of like there's some mornings, fellas, like I don't even need my alarm. Like I'm just excited to wake up and record. Once you got something like that, fellas, it might look different for you. It might not be consecration. You have to stick with it and go at it relentlessly, right? The next chapter is codependent relationships, right? Whatever you think is against you, you are giving too much importance to. Relax your grip and let the world do whatever it likes. Give yourself permission to be yourself and allow others to be different. Do not compare yourself to anyone or get attached to anything. Accepting with grace and go with grace. This just piggybacks on to not give anybody or anything expectations because that's when you get disappointed. Simple as that, fellas, right? The search for love. Don't search for love. Love will find you. And when it does, pursue it. Figure out what you want from a partner and the opportunity will come to you. Don't try to change who you are under any circumstances. This is a lot of female nature game in this chapter, fellas. Do not search for love. Love will find you. What I always tell you guys, like you. If she don't like you, she got bad taste. Figure out what you want from a partner and the opportunity will come for you, right? What are your non-negotiables that you have in a partner? There's no perfect person, but you should have some non-negotiables and that person will find you, right? Don't try to change who you are under any circumstances. So don't try to conform to another woman or what she or her standards or what she likes. Be you. And if you guys are aligned, you guys are aligned, right? Chapter 49, fellas, extinguishing pendulum, right? When you receive bad news or find yourself in unpleasant situations, we are naturally throw off balance and want to be irritated or react negatively consciously do the opposite, right? So basically, it's easier said than done, fellas. But anytime something negative happens to you, always just say, you know what? I'm not going to react negative to this. I'm going to react positive. And like, what you have to understand is shit like that, discipline like that, like it's just like it's a muscle, you know, like it gets stronger as you do it. You know what I'm saying? Um, ba, 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 ba. Replace fear with confidence. Replace irritation with joy. Pendulums will try to throw you off balance. You have to break the rules of the game intentionally. If something makes you angry and you express your energy to it, you let the pendulum win. Pendulum works in loops. You let one thing irritate you and show it, a few things will right after, right? Either you don't react at all or react in the opposite light. So again, it's easier said than done, fellas, but I challenge you to start building the muscle of like when shit is like going left in your life and just like all these unexpected circumstances just keep happening. I want you just to react positive. And it's going to hurt internally, but just watch how your life changes. This is powerful, right? Chapter 50, the pendulum flop. If you continuously think of what you want in life, that is what will show up. Acknowledge what you want, acknowledge that what you don't like exists, and then let it go. Always ignore the things that irritate you, and they will disappear from the world. Don't find pendulums, just ignore them, right? So again, just focus on like the things that you want out of life, while also acknowledging that the things you don't want exist, but then just disconnect from it. As simple as that. 51, fellas. Incomprehensible infinity. Creating your own reality by reality transurfing is the same as driving a car without knowing how it was assembled. So it's basically saying, when I'm preaching a lot of these principles, and as simple as they sound, and as uncomfortable as they sound, and as delusional as they sound, it's basically saying that these principles are the basically the replication of like you driving a car but not knowing how the car was made, right? So like you have to trust these principles, right? Not knowing that eventually they're going to work out, right? It's basically what it was saying, right? Chapter 52, gatekeeper to eternity. The gatekeeper will only give you success once you believe you are capable and worthy. Never hope, never want, only intend. The 99% chase perfection, the 1% chase action. Chasing perfection is almost identical to procrastinating. I couldn't agree more. This is where I got from, fellas. You always hear me say that perfectionism is the cousin to procrastination, right? Because when you're trying to perfect something, right, you're thinking ready, aim, fire. And it really should be ready, fire, aim. Figure it out later, right? Because like when you like you can't get quality without quantity. How are you gonna know a chick is the one unless you done dated a few? How are you gonna know that you're good at making YouTube, that this is the best YouTube video you can make if you don't make 100? So quality comes from quantity. And what this is basically saying is that when people are prioritizing quality too much, especially in the beginning, they're just doing another form of procrastination, which is perfectionism, right? Chapter 53, shaping your own destiny, right? I love this, fellas. Life is like a river. If you row the boat, you can choose which directions you want to go in. But if you don't row, you will go wherever the current steers you. So all in all, fellas, this is like the foundation of everything I preach, man. If you don't start taking a hold and a grip of your fucking life, aka your row, life is just gonna throw you wherever it throws you, man. You know, I can only imagine if I didn't just say, you know, I'm gonna take control of my life and start putting in the work, sacrificing my 59, sacrificing my weekends, wake up early, prioritize deep work, hit the gym, say no to people, cut people off, and just start shaping my own destiny. I couldn't imagine if I didn't do that, where my choices and my environment would have led me. I would be a fucking dweeb, right? I will be a fucking dweeb. So you have to shape your own reality, right? Chapter 54 is straight to the point. It just says that horoscopes are fake. And I couldn't agree more. If you're watching this and you believe in horoscopes, go to hell, brother, right? Let's leave that to the chicks. We're grown ass men, right? Chapter 55, the master's mindset. The theme of your thoughts hold weight, right? From this moment on, make it a rule to keep your thought patterns and mindset under control. It's said this about 10 times, fellas. If you don't get it by now, holy shit. Whatever happens, turn it into a positive. Prepare yourself for pleasant events. Most people's attention is absorbed by negative experiences. Don't be most people, right? Chapter 56, dissatisfaction with the world, right? Replace reactive negativity with positive dominant, right? My world always chooses what's best for me. I go with the variance of flow and the world meets me halfway. I place my order and the world delivers it. Either you control your reality or your reality controls you. The reason older people get more concerned, what did I say? The reason that older people have less belief is because a person matures, they tend to adopt more of a negative attitude, right? So like Tripling down on just staying away from any negative thoughts or any thoughts of disbelief or people who's not giving a point to your belief system is vital, right? Place your order, believe in it, and the world will deliver it, right? Chapter 57, fellas, it speaks on inferiority. Holy shit, fellas, I'm starting to lose my voice, man. I've been talking for a minute. What are we, 57 minutes in? And I've recorded another 90-minute one today, but I love the work, right? I'm not going to be a dweeb. Here we go, right? 57, right? Whoo! Do you want to be like everybody else, or do you want to be like yourself, right? Any inferiority you feel will be unbalanced out by your own merits. Charm can compensate for your lack of beauty. Self-confidence can compensate for physical defects. The ability to listen can replace the inability to speak freely. Stop comparing yourself to others and your attention or your shortcomings. Stop comparing yourself to others and your attention from your shortcomings to your strength, and focus your attention from your shortcomings to your strengths, right? So this is basically saying wherever you're deficient, fellas, can make up for where you're less deficient. So it gives the examples. Charm can compensate for your lack of good looks. Self-confidence can compensate for your lack of, physical superiority, right? The ability to listen can compensate for the ability to speak freely. A lot of the times what you think is, what you're looking at as your, deficiency is your strength, right? So that's what this chapter talks about, right? 58, self-sufficiency, as simple as, fellas, you are capable of doing anything. Stop looking in truth or sources outside of yourself. The only person that matters is you in terms of your belief. Create from the soul. That's what makes you great. The main thing I got from this one, fellas, is when it's speaking about belief, I see so many people in my, not recently, but a minute ago would hit me in the DM and be like, yo, crowd, none of my family believes in me. None of my friends believe in me. Holy shit, brother. Welcome to self-development. 1 and 2, it doesn't matter if they do, they will. Fellas, when I lost my job in 2025 and my grandmother died the month before, I called my grandfather on my dad's side. On my mom's side. And he told me, and this is like the grandfather I tell you I look up to. He told me, son, get a job. Right. And I told him like what I plan to do at 1% Academy. Like he wasn't telling me that because he didn't believe in me, or maybe he didn't. Right. But I didn't allow his disbelief to affect mine. I knew she was going to pan out, right? 59, fellas. Holy shit, I'm getting a little tired, but I'm not a dweeb, right? Decision making. Trust your decision making. Don't overthink. As simple as that, fellas, right? Chapter 6, the rustle of the morning stars. Trust your intuition when faced with problems. No one knows better than your soul in terms of decision making. Your soul always has the answers. Always trust your gut, fellas, right? Always trust your intuition when you're faced with problems or adversity. Right? Always trust your intuition with investing in that mentorship, trying that meal plan, trying that business model, right? Making that video, whatever the case may be. Always trust your intuition and the stars will align. Even if it doesn't, it teaches you what not to do moving forward, right? 61, borrow goals. When you are deciding your goal, ask yourself, do I really want this with all my soul or I just want it? You guys always hear me say, there's 3 types of motherfuckers. The motherfuckers that just want to eat, motherfuckers that's hungry, and motherfuckers that's starving. A lot of y'all motherfuckers just want to eat, and you wondering why you haven't achieved your goals. Or a lot of y'all motherfuckers that's hungry and you wondering why you haven't achieved your goals. You just want it. You don't have to have it. If you have to convince yourself that you're wanted, you have what this book calls narrow goals, right? If the goal is truly yours, you don't have to sell it to yourself, right? You know that it's yours because it's an obligation, right? Chapter 62 talks about your personal goal, right? And being on the path to your goal, fellas, it defines as in this book as true happiness, aka the process is really the goal and what's going to bring you the most happiness. The secret of success is to free yourself from pendulums and choose your own path. Always expand your horizons. This helps with goal setting. Visit places you've never been, watch things you've never seen before, right? So the takeaways I got: 1 is the process is the best part. But the 2, again, don't live in the physical reality of what you see. One of the most beautiful things about the internet today, fellas, is like, I've never seen a Lamborghini Urus till like 6 months ago when John Mark was in Dallas. Like, I wanted that car because like I changed my horizons, I expanded my horizons. I started seeing things online that inspired me, right? So this takes it a step further, just to visit places you've never been, watch things that you've never seen before, and that will spark so much information for you to reach your personal goals, right? Or create new ones, right? Chapter 63 is called The Boat of Will of Intention, right? And it speaks on dreaming is not enough. You must move with intention to achieve your goals. I don't hope I don't want, I intend. Ignore every doubt and worry. The mind wants everything to be under control on the path to success, even when things will feel out of control. I couldn't agree enough, fellas. Dreaming is not enough. You have to intend to do it, and intention comes with action. So again, I want you to take everything that I'm saying with believing in yourself and having faith with these books, fellas, with this book in particular. But at the same time, you got to put in a shit ton of action, right? Chapter 64, the soul cell, right? Search for your goal and it will find you. People who choose their own path never work a day in their life. That's pretty self-explanatory, fellas. I couldn't agree more, right? Chapter 65, the pessimist. Stop looking for problems and search for solutions. Ignore negatives and focus on the positives. Focusing on problems causes more problems. Stop worrying. Everything will turn out as it should. I gave this analogy, but I'm gonna give it again, fellas. There's two types of people. There's motherfuckers that look at the donut and motherfuckers that look at the hole. Look at that motherfucking donut. Stop looking for problems and look for solutions. When there's a problem and you understand that there's a solution for it, you're already 50% there. A lot of people look at problems and they think, "How I'm never gonna figure this out." If you receive a problem and you know you'll figure it out, you're fine, right? Focusing on problems is just gonna cause more problems, right? Chapter 66, support. Danger aligns in not in the problem itself, but in your relationship to it. When you think a problem is important, you give energy to it. When faced with problems, pendulums want you to fight or throw in the towel. Don't do either. Laugh with them. Realize it's a pendulum. Observe the game. So, like, you guys hear me out saying my whiteboard videos, like, when that inner bitch start talking, I start laughing and I start talking back. Y'all be thinking I'm playing. A lot of that I got from this book. I laugh at shit when it happened. I'm looking at things from a molecular view, like I'm out of my body, like I'm a third person. I'm observing the game. I realized this was put here to throw me off, and I laugh at it and I continue moving forward. You must do the same, right? We're finding the script. Go with the flow deliberately and consciously, right? When you consciously abandon control of the situation, you end up when you consciously abandon control of the situation, you end up gaining control instead. Unite your heart and your mind, and you will have whatever your heart desires, literally and figuratively. Allow yourself the luxury of being worthy of the best. The best way to overcome pendulums is to disconnect from the importance. Nothing is important or that deep, right? Pretty self-explanatory with that one, fellas, right? Box for the soul, right? So actually, I don't know, I added this right before I recorded this module. For some reason, I didn't read chapter 68, but I read it right before, I did this. And the main takeaways I got from this one, fellas, is that your soul didn't come into this life to suffer. It came into this life to celebrate. And that must be the way you look at life. So whether you're going through trials, tribulations, or failures, you have to look at that as a celebration, taking you one step closer to the person that you want to be, right? Chapter 69, fellas, talks about idealization, right? And it gives 3 rules in this chapter. The first rule is don't increase your level of attributed importance. Don't make an idol of anyone, and don't sugarcoat reality. Stop thinking negative things don't exist. Whatever you focus on will increase, and the potential of happening will come into fruition. I'm a firm believer of this. If a guy has like 10 baby mamas, he focused on fucking chicks. That's why he has 10 baby mamas. If a guy is an exceptional reader, he read more than other individuals. That's what he focused on, right? Whatever you focus on will come into fruition. Period. Right? That's the main takeaway I got from this, right? Next, it talks about unconditional love, right? Treasure love received from others and give love without expecting anything in return. Plain and simple, fellas, I couldn't agree more, right? 71, fellas, speaks on the polar comparison. Comparing yourself to others leads to feeling inferior if you undervalue your word and superiority, and if you overvalue your worth. Claim the right to not be the same person as everybody else. And basically, I got from this is there's so much value in your individuality, and this is so vital in what I do. There's plenty of people that preach about discipline. There's plenty of people that can give you a workout plan. There's plenty of people that can give you a nutrition plan, but there's not cries, right? So this is it basically speaks on fellas like take bits and pieces of what you want from individuals you aspire to be like, but at the same time, find grace and comfortability in your individuality as a man on this journey to be your 1% self, right? Next, we get into the unique soul. Claiming your originality will give you an advantage over others. This piggybacks on what I just said. No one ever became a star from copying someone else. You are naive if you believe you have limitations. Like, I'll contradict myself a little bit. You guys hear me say you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just got to get that motherfucker to spin. That's more so like the steps that a person took to get there, but those steps might look different for you, right? If Alex Hormozi invested his last, maybe you have to invest your last in something else. If he started this business and had to sleep with his chick's parents, maybe you don't have to sleep with your chick's parents, but you got to stay with a friend while you invest in the business. Like, it could look different for you. The principles are the same, but like, be yourself and understand your journey is unique, fellas, right? Chapter 73, the miserly mind. Do not listen to the mind when it tells you your goals are not realistic. Without your heart, the mind is not capable of much in this world. Together, they are capable of anything. Let me say that again. Without your heart, the mind is not capable of much in this world, but together, they are capable of anything. Let me say it one more time, fellas. Without your heart, the mind is not capable of much in this world, but together, with the heart and the mind, they are capable of anything. So it's not just enough, again, to have this work ethic, fellas, and be fucking, have the highest powerless completion rate of all time. If you don't believe in your heart, it won't happen. I promise you, right? 74 talks about the greedy soul. And it basically just says being elite is forming your own path and to stop giving a fuck about other people's stereotypes and limitations. And that you need to make the impossible your realistic. I love that, fellas. From now on, I want you to have the mentality that the impossible is your realistic at all times, right? Chapter 75 is titled Money. And it basically just says that don't think about the money that you don't have. Think about the money that you do have and always know more is coming, right? Period, point blank, man, right? Next, we get into chapter 76, and it talks about comfort zone, right? But it speaks about it in a different light. Learn to see yourself in a different way. See yourself worthy of all of your goals. Never look up at them, look down at them. That's where I got this. I got that from this book, fellas. The heart cannot be persuaded, but it can be trained through a new comfort zone. Continuously visualize the years by September 27th and know what happened. So that's a note I gave to myself, right? But like, I never look up at stuff, just look down at stuff and find comfortability within doing that. Chapter 77 gives a unique perspective and talks about allies. But the main thing I got from this chapter in my notes, I'm literally reading it, fellas. It says, treat the Urus as a human being, right? So like, just like care for it, respect it, speak to it, whatever the case may be. Like, I'm treating my output objectives like human beings to a certain extent, right? And once you do that, you'll start to value them more, right? The last chapter, fellas, chapter 78, kind of piggybacks on the chapter. I don't know what it's called. It was called like the world is yours or something, but it basically speaks on having a guardian angel. And it speaks on if you're having a hard time and you have no one to lean on, to create yourself a guardian angel, right? If you believe in your guardian angel, they will exist, but the opposite is also true. If you don't believe you have a guardian angel, they won't exist. The very thought that there is a being that looks after you and you alone helps you feel balanced and a self of confidence. Now, I don't really do this. I think my guardian is just God alone and Jesus Christ. But if you want to just believe that you have a guardian angel and everything that happens to you is meant to happen, I think your perception is your reality. It can have a positive effect on the man that you are. Right now, this is another lengthy one, fellas. It's been a life-changing book for me. I highly recommend that, again, you watch this modules as many times as you need to. Obviously, the daily reads are attached, but also, take a dive into this book, read it, go through my notes as you read it, make your own notes as you read it, make your own daily motives notes, fellas. But, reading is powerful, man. And I can honestly say, like, this is one of my favorite books to study and make my daily motives. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, but I'll see you guys on the next module. Peace. All right, fellas, welcome back to another module. In this one, we got a really, really good one, man. How to Get Anything You Want, the 7 Lessons by L.C. Lincoln Benedict. This book was recommended to me by my mentor's mentor. That tells you everything you need to know. He's an extremely successful individual, especially from a financial acumen standpoint. This has been the best book I've ever read on, the subconscious mind, how your feelings work, how your thoughts work and how those, thoughts, feelings, and your subconscious mind has a direct correlation with the things that you wish to acquire in this life. I've been a person that, I have the discipline, I believe in myself, but, this really quantifies what believing in yourself can really look like on a day-to-day basis to really speak a lot of the things that you wish to acquire, into fruition and decrease the friction of them not happening and decrease the friction so they can happen. One thing I love about this book before I dive in, fellas, is it gives you a lot of books give a lot of knowledge, but this book gives knowledge and like actionable steps that it wants you to do. So as I'm, going over this, fellas, not only do I want you to take in the information, take notes, do whatever you got to do. Obviously, you guys got the daily reads connected to this module, but I want you to really, like, if you got to pause it and like make a to-do list and be like, yo, I'm going to do this tonight and then start implementing this moving forward. Cause like, I'm telling you, fellas, this stuff works, right? I promise you. right? So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it, right? So we'll start with lesson one. This book kind of goes, it has different lessons and lessons. Some lessons have rules, some don't. But I just wanted to give you that brief background so you know, like, why is Cry giving me all these rules? But that's just how the book is structured, right? So lesson one, it speaks on our lives are not just a series of accidental happenings. They are outer circumstances built directly or indirectly, innocent, usually unknowingly, but nevertheless inevitable by groups of inner feelings. No one outside of yourself can ruin your life. No one but yourself can make your life successful or happy. Whatever comes to you habitually comes because of your habitual attitudes. The money a man makes is a tangible result of the external symbol of the internal subconscious move. Your subconscious mind is like a garden. You can cultivate it intelligently or allow it to run wild. You can in either case, it will bring forward exactly in accordance with the seeds that your habits self have dropped in the soil, right? So I love that analogy. It basically says that your life is like a garden and your thoughts and your feelings and what you think is like you watering it and the seeds. And whatever comes about is based on the seeds that you use and how much water that it gets, right? So I want you to keep that in mind throughout this whole module, fellas. Miracles happen every single day. There's nothing impossible to achieve. The only thing necessary is to learn how to do it and then do it, right? You guys always hear me say, when you see a successful individual with a house that you wish to acquire, whatever the case may be in specific realms, it's not a matter of if you can do it. It's just a matter of, can you learn how they did it and then do it, right? The issue with a lot of guys today is they know how to do it, but they don't do it, right? We live in a society today, fellas, where the information is out there. You can learn how to do anything. It's just a matter of if you're going to do it or not, right? Poor people believe they're always poor. Rich people believe they're always rich. Good people and deserving people stay poor because they don't think they can be rich, and wicked people become rich because they can believe they can be rich, right? So you always hear the saying, why do good things happen to bad people? Or why do, fucked up people become successful? And it's simply because they believe they deserve it. Point blank. There's great people that don't believe they deserve to be rich, and that's why they'll never be rich, right? Money doesn't make you a bad person. It just inflates who you already are. I know great people who are extremely financially successful, and I know terrible people that are broke, right? It gives an example, fellas, and it says there's no such thing as I have a feeling in my bones, because that feeling was brought to you by outside influence, but it comes to you because you had a feeling in the first place and then you went halfway to meet it. Once you understand this principle and that it works both ways, you can bring good to yourself by entertaining the good feelings in your bones. So don't ever think, oh, why am I thinking this? It was induced to you or introduced to you in some way, shape, or form. It could be an experience in the past. It could be something you watch. It could be something you heard. It could be something you read. But in some way, shape, or form, it came about. So it's never just, it came out of nowhere. It came from something, right? To choose your feelings like you would choose, you can choose your feelings, fellas, like you choose a tailor to fit your clothing. You can encourage and discourage your tailor to make clothes how you want it. This is exactly what you can do with your feelings, right? So like your feelings, your life is a product of your actions. Your actions are a product of your thoughts. Your thoughts are a product of what you consume. What you consume, has an effect on your feelings. What I'm trying to tell you, fellas, is that you have the opportunity to choose that, just as if you were to tell your tailor, like, I want you to make my clothes fit loose or tight. That is the same way that you have control over your feelings, right? To a pessimist, the wrong things are always happening. To an optimist, the right things are always happening. Which one are you going to be, right? I gave this example in one of the most previous modules. The pessimist sees the whole and the optimist sees the donut. I want you guys to always be an optimist. No matter what's going on in life, always see, wow, the right things are happening to me. Even though this sucks, this is preparing me for something. If this goes great, I knew that it would. That has to be the mentality. And that's a choice, fellas. That's a choice. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you react to it, right? The optimist builds heaven on earth and the pessimist builds hell. You can take choice by which moods you want to possess in your heart, and then you must commit to being loyal to the mood regardless of what happens. There are two types of worlds, the seen and the unseen. Many think that the seen is the most important, but it's really the unseen. We must see the tree, but we don't see the seeds that went into making it. I spoke about this in the last module, but this is the book that I got it from, fellas. A lot of people just go off what they see. They live in a physical reality. Nah, you got to live on what you don't see, right? Because what you don't see is going to equate to the things that you see. You don't see, your character, your thought process, your feelings, your emotions. And those all have a direct correlation with everything that you want in the physical reality, similar to a tree, right? Lesson 2 talks about how to remake our moods mastery, right?
If we wanted to remake our lives, the only thing we would have to do is remake our predominant moods. Let me say that again. If you wanted to remake your life, the only thing that you have to remake is your predominant mood. We build harmful attitudes slowly, but we can build harmonious attitudes rapidly, right? An example of this is it takes years for a disease to build up in your system, but due to neglect and abuse, but with the right conditions in the subconscious mind, the disease can be cured quicker than the time that you adopted it. So basically what this is saying, fellas, is it's easier to fix your subconscious mind than it is to ruin it. It takes years to ruin it, but it can take 3 months to fix it. Right. So that's one of the beauty about this book, right? We can never hurt our lives as quickly as we can improve it. There is no such thing as standing still. You are always moving. You either are weaker than you were yesterday or stronger, more confident, and more afraid of what you were telling yourself today than it will fix you tomorrow. I couldn't agree with that 100%. If you are the same man that you are last year, fellas, in regards to your thoughts and your feelings, you're not staying the same. You're getting worse. There's no such thing as standing still. You're either moving or getting worse, fellas. It is never the events in your life that will affect you, but it is the way that you take them in which it creates your moves. This analysis in your life. That's why I always tell you guys, man, we're all dealt different cards. You must make the most out of the cards you were dealt. But not only that is that individuals have had your situation or worse, and they still made it way. It's not that they just were like they're like the people that had it worse, like just like were like superheroes. Like no, they just took it in, but they chose to receive it differently, right? A lot of people, come from single parent households. They look at it as a disadvantage. The successful individuals look at that as an advantage, right? Now I got to go harder. So it's all about how you choose, right? To receive these, the lows of your life, right? If your moods are high, you will go high. If your moods are low, you will go low, right? When you see successful individuals with the wealth, the honor, and the power, you must understand that regardless of what they were going through, they decided to have a harmonious reaction instead of a harmful reaction. I love this. Let me say it again. When you see successful individuals with the wealth, the honor, and the power, you must understand that regardless of what they were going through, they decided to have a harmonious reaction instead of a harmful reaction. Again, no matter what they were going through, they looked at the positives of it instead of the negatives. And this is not something you have or don't have, fellas. This is a muscle that you can build, right? When you take any experience constructively, you are bigger and better and stronger than you were before, no matter how destructive the experience was itself. You must make it a habit to beat every event constructively. Let me say that again. You must make it a habit to beat every event constructively, right? Next, it goes into a sequence of rules, and I took the rules that I like, fellas, and I made notes of them. So if I skip a number, it's just because I didn't take anything away from that rule. But that's why I advise you guys to go read it yourself, because you may take something from the rule. But I want to start it at rule number 2, and rule number 2 is understanding that this experience, whether it's positive or negative, will be put into good use eventually, even though it may be in the moment. So whether something good happens to you or bad happens to you, you must have the mindset that I will put this to good use eventually, right? Rule number 3 speaks about the importance of not dwelling on anything negative. A lot of times your mind will place certain imaginary scenarios in your head, and eventually these scenarios will come into play, and these scenarios can fuck you up mentally and eventually bring themselves into fruition. Whatever you think about comes about. I'm not sure about like the specifics with this, man, but there was a guy that was a pro baseball player. Look this up, fellas, like ChatGPT this. I don't know his name, but he always knew that he always had a feeling, and he would always speak about dying in a car accident, and he died in a car accident. And to me, that is the epitome of that rule, right? Rule number 4 states that to wake up every day, make the decision that nothing will upset you or frighten you. This rule speaks about how it's destructive to live in accordance with yesterday or tomorrow instead of living in the present. Today can always be managed, but the memories of the past tragedies and visualizations of the future break us down, right? Rule number 5 speaks about refusing to cross bridges until you cross them. Let me turn the fan on real quick, brothers. It's hot in here. Right? Where was we at? Rule number 5 speaks about refusing to cross bridges until you cross them. I've had a lot of troubles, but most of them never happen. A lot of times, fellas, we're thinking about shit that never even happened. I speak a lot about this with guys in 1% Academy. Like you guys are worried about shit in regards to your purpose that haven't even happened yet. Cross that bridge when you get there, right? You always hear me speak about the term ready, fire, and then aim. Right? A lot of y'all motherfuckers be trying to aim, aka you thinking about shit and worry about shit that hasn't even happened yet. Cross that bridge when you get there. right? Rule number 7 speaks about not dwelling on mistakes in terms of business to only think on the future, right? Rule number 8, this is a good one, fellas, right? Rule number 8 speaks about the importance of keeping yourself surrounded by little things within your environment. And I literally have in my notes an example of this is, you guys can even see it, but if I turn the screen here, you see a Lamborghini poster right there, right? I have another Lamborghini poster right here. I have my objectives right here. But what this speaks about is, reminders are extremely important on this journey, which I always say. This reaffirmed this for me, fellas. This chapter gave an example of how men always have pictures of their family on their desk at work, and how women are constantly looking at their wedding band. No matter what's going on through the trials and tribulations of a relationship, they are reminded of that symbol. It speaks on how it's the same way with success and with the subconscious mind. Something that I haven't implemented in this chapter that it talks about is reminders of previous victories, whether it was favors, badges, trophies, anything that you've accomplished in the past. For me in business, remind yourself of that when you're feeling down, right? So a big needle move for me that I've been doing, fellas, is I've been journaling, which I'll go more in depth with in a second. But I'm journaling when I'm have 10K days, 30K months, 20K months, 13K weeks. When I have a very productive day, I get 40 plus stories up, 2 reels, a 40-minute YouTube video, 3 shorts up, and I speak about my feelings throughout that day. And then really once a month or once every 2 months, I go back and read these journals, and it just reminds me of how I feel once I'm in that mode, and that trajects me to continue to do it on a day-to-day basis. Reminders are so important, fellas. This book is validating a lot of the things that I tell you guys, right? You don't need more information. You just need to be reminded of the information you already know, right? Rule number 9 speaks about avoiding as many inharmonious ideas of innocent people as you can. Keep your subconscious mind clean to focus on the positive things that will propel you forward. Anything negative is just excessive baggage that will derail you from success. Stop thinking about past failures and stay away from people who bring them up. Basically, there's 2 types of people, fellas: people that are infecting you and affecting you. Stay away from people that are infecting you, people that are not giving a point mentally to the man that you need to be, right? Rule number 10 talks about avoiding, I just went over that. Rule number 11 talks about never getting emotionally involved in anything political. I love this. The best way to change the world is to change yourself. I see so many people, really older people that I know, that continuously watch the news, continuously are speaking about Donald Trump and what's going on. But in reality, outside of voting, you don't have any control over that. And a lot of times I had a guy, my brother Damien, that used to get stressed about that stuff. Like, there's nothing you can do. The only way to change the world, the best that you can, is to change yourself. Right. There have been worse situations in the history of time than what we're dealing with now. Do you know that there was something called the Black Death that was way more severe than COVID-19? You think about how many people died from COVID-19. There was something worse like years ago, like in the BCs, that called the Black Death, that killed millions of people. Those people we're no better than those people. So to think that in some way, shape, or form that like we deserve a better life, or we can somehow avoid what's already destined to happen, is really insane. And what this book talks about is like worrying about that stuff is like the best way to be a dweeb with your personal inputs and what you can accomplish in life, right? Rule number 12 simply says to mingle with the optimistic, the hopeful, and the inspiring as much as possible. Seek them out. This is one thing I love about the young lady that I'm dating right now, fellas. Like, she's very optimistic, right? She says, "Oh, you got 110 days to get the year, or think about the year, or how far are you away from 100K a month?" Like, she's extremely encouraging. Like, I'm using her as an example with my relationship, but you got to think about that, what that looks like for you. You got to surround yourself around individuals like that believe in you, right? And if you're around individuals that don't, you need to. Sometimes you can't help it, whether it's employees or maybe your family members, but you need to stay away from those individuals, or not even speak about your objectives as much as possible, right? Rule number 13 talks about how even a goose knows how to take the corn and leave the cob. What this basically means is use your discernment when you are at gatherings around a lot of people, and take what's available and that will directly correlate with your own problems or needs, right? So a lot of times, like, I'll be at like a networking event or like a gathering or a family event, and they're talking about something that like will make you just overthink things. That's why it's so important to be like, fellas, be so selfish with what you consume, because like sometimes you can consume the wrong things that can open up a whole pot of problems in your mind, or overthinking in your mind, that aren't even necessary, right? And that's what I got from this rule. Rule number 15 states to just don't let employees fuck ups bother you. If you have employees, I mean, that's something that, can be helpful to you, but if not, don't worry about it. Rule number 16 speaks about it in the opposite light, and that if you are an employee, always think on how you can improve. Otherwise, if you don't, you will always be taking orders from others. Instead of harboring harboring resentment, planning to get even, or feeling abused when you seem not to be appreciated, try to figure out what is wrong and how you can command appreciation, right? This is a mistake. Now that I'm a CEO, I feel this so much, fellas, because when I was employee, I was trying to point the finger like, oh, my boss doesn't like me. My boss is this, my boss is that. But now that I have an employee, I kind of understand it from that lens. So the best thing you can do, especially if you're an individual who's trying to get out your 9 to 5, what I got from this lesson is to continuously always look at yourself from the CEO lens or your manager's lens and understand that they're trying to win. It's kind of like when you're playing basketball and you're like, my coach don't fuck with me. But in reality, the coach's job is to win games. So if you contributed to winning games, your coach will fuck with you. Right. So that's how you got to look at it from an employee standpoint. If you're working at 9 to 5, if you feel like shit is unfair, your boss not fuck with you, or they always on your ass, just perform better. And I promise you a lot of shit will change. Right. Rule number 17 speaks about doing your best and letting the rest go. Sometimes we shoot for perfection and it fucks us up mentally and physically. Don't let this be you. Control what you can control and move forward. This chapter also speaks about how you can never make another human completely or permanently happy. The perfect happiness is something that no individual can give to another, but something that each person must acquire for themselves. The main thesis of this rule is that destructive moods begin due to tendencies and too much selfishness and too much unwillingness, right? Rule number 18, fellas, speaks about never, ever, ever gather a list of things that you don't like or can't stand, because years from now, that list will continue to get longer and then you'll be dwelling on that shit instead of the positive, right? So always focus on the positives of life versus the negative, right? Like every night when I pray, fellas, I'm thinking, God, even I could have the best month of business, the worst day of business. I'm like, God, thank you for my 5 senses: food, shelter, opportunity, Wi-Fi, family that loves me, right? All of the things that we take for granted. That's the things that you have to focus on in life, fellas, right? Rule number 19 speaks about if you want to be a big person, you cannot let every pinprick of life affect you. Bigger people deal with bigger problems. Accept it. This is one of my favorite rules from this specific lesson. Fellas, whatever you think you're going through, there's a successful individual that has way bigger problems that they're bearing. You must always realize that. Like I look at what I thought was stress like 2 years ago versus what's stress to me now, and I laugh. And then when I'm making $100K a month, I'll laugh at what I think is stress now. Right? If you want to be a big person, you'll have big problems. The most successful individuals, LeBron James, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Aman Ghazi, Alex Hormozi, they deal with way bigger problems on a day-to-day basis than we do. And that's why they're bigger people. You must adopt the same identity and mindset, right? Rule number 20 speaks about being persistent, not intense, in the following rules of this lesson, right? So just be consistent and persistent with everything I'm telling you, right? Never be remorseful. Always let mistakes go, right? Next, we get into lesson 3, fellas, right? Lesson 3, fellas, speaks about decide on what you want out of life immediately and never have shiny object syndrome, right? I believe one of the things, like you think about weed, alcohol, porn, scrolling are one of the biggest, attributes that hold men back. I would argue after porn and scrolling and like weed and alcohol, number 5 is shiny object syndrome. For those that don't know, shiny object syndrome is basically when you keep starting and stopping different vehicles. Like you started e-commerce, you were super excited to do it, and then when it get tough, you start all over and do real estate because you think that's the vehicle. Then you start all over and do content creation because you think that's the vehicle. Now, there's nothing wrong with testing different things, especially if you're a young buck, right? But there is something wrong to keep starting and stopping and be one of these serial entrepreneurs that think they're doing a whole bunch of shit, but really they're just mediocre at a lot of things. Pick one thing, fellas, and be exceptional at it, right? That's what I got from that law or that part of the lesson, right? When you don't know what you want, you have all the power, but you are not directing it. That's why it's always important to choose one thing and know that this is what you want to do and go all in with it. Never dwell on the present, only the future. If you keep thinking about the gap instead of the bridge within the future, you'll never reach the gap. AKA, fellas, what this means is focus on the process, not how far you are from your standards. The mistake a lot of guys make is they think, man, I'm like me, the dweeb thing for me to do, fellas, would be like, damn, I'm so far from making $100K a month. I'm so far from making a Lamborghini Urus. No, I just show up every single day and focus on the process. And it's inevitable because I know, like, as long as I never quit, it'll happen. Maybe it won't happen in 110 days. Maybe it will. But I know if I just never give up, it's going to happen, right? Rule number 24 speaks, let your mind wander and sit on what you want to accomplish, and eventually it will materialize, right? Rule number 26 is, I love this, prioritize work over sleep. Thomas Edison never slept longer than he worked. Most of his life, he was Um, I think I wrote this wrong on my notes. I had a spelling error, right? Basically, fellas, a genius is one who cannot be kept away from his work. If you feel encouraged to get away from the work, you don't really want the thing. I agree with this 100%. There's certain days, fellas, where like I just wake up thirsty. Like today, I just woke up like the first thing I get to do is record this. The first thing I get to do is hop on calls with my brothers. The first thing I get to do is go to boxing and vlog it. Like I'd be excited, like my alarm don't even go off. If that's not happening, that's the indicator that you might be in the wrong vehicle. As simple as that, right? Because especially like now, I get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but in the beginning of my journey, like I was getting 6 to 7, and like I would be tired some days, but I knew it was worth it, right? And this rule just reaffirmed that for me. Like when you know that you found your vehicle, and you know that you're hungry, and you know that you starving for success, that's when you like like you don't give a fuck about sleep to a certain extent. Now there's a line to draw, fellas, because lack of sleep will have an effect on the quality of work. But like my brother Sean is a perfect example of this. Like my brother Sean, like we get on calls talking about optimizing sleep because this motherfucker can never sleep because he's just like he mentions to me word for word, like cry, like I'm just up thinking about trading. Like when am I gonna hit my first 100K month, 50K month? Like what I could have did better the previous day. That's where you want to be. That's where the magic happens, right? This rule 27 speaks about if you think about the thing that you want. Oh, I just said that, right? Rule 28 talks about this rule talks about the sacrifice that you will forego in a role because you are focused on the big thing that you want. You don't pay attention to the clock, comfort, or vacations and the other necessities in life other people do. This is me in a nutshell, fellas. This is me in a nutshell. If you put me in a room of other 28-year-old men, especially their my skin complexion, they're trying to figure out what's the next kick that they doing this weekend, what's the next vacation, who the next bitch they gonna fuck. I could care less about all of those things. Those things don't excite me. The things that excite me are accomplishing my standards, changing men's lives, retiring my mother, driving that Lamborghini Urus, right? More long-term things that take a lot of work to obtain, right? So what this rule is basically saying, fella, like you have to be willing to sacrifice those things to be the man that you want to be. And that a lot of the things that are necessities to other people won't excite you. And that's how you know that you're on the right path, right? Rule 29 speaks about only wishing and not wanting this rule speaks about you only wishing and not wanting if you are constantly making excuses or coping and saying the reasons for you not doing what you're supposed to do to get the thing. When you really don't want something, your subconscious knows as well, and it will provide an escape for you because the subconscious mind works in whatever direction you want it to work. If you truly do a thing, you will furnish reasons to get it done regardless. This is very connected to when I tell you guys if you don't believe the moment you get some friction, you will fold. So like I've had guys join 1% Academy. I hate to say it, and they say they want to do content creation, but I know deep down they don't believe they can do it. And then when videos are low or it's a day where it's tough to get the power list done, they'll always fold. And the reason being is because there is some subconscious knows that they really don't want to do it, right? They really don't want to do it, right? And this piggybacks on Rule of 30. Rule of 30 speaks about a dating analogy, right? And it connects right with this point. Pay close attention. This is powerful. When you want to see a person when you're dating them, you'll find every reason to show up to that date no matter what. Versus when you don't want to go to that date for real and you want to flank, you'll find every excuse not to go. It's the same thing with what you want in life. If you truly want it, your subconscious mind will always find a way, right? And if you don't want it, your subconscious mind will always find an excuse and a reason not to do it, right? So that's why it's very important to figure out, is this really what I want to do? And always keep that dating analogy in mind. I love that, right? Rule 31 speaks about when you really want something, you'll have a better memory with it. It gives an analogy. If you don't remember a person's name, you didn't care to. The people that leave an impression on you or that you care about, you will always remember their name. It's the same thing with what we want in life. You will remember everything pertaining to it, right? So if you catch yourself forgetting things aligned to your purpose or things you got to do, you just don't want it enough, fellas. Because like I ran into chicks when I was outside that was bad, and I remember Shorty name. Why did I remember Shorty name? Because she was bad. I was feeling her and we was vibing. Right. So little, things in regards to your purpose and what you want to achieve in life. If you forget about it or frequently, obviously we all forget things, but if you're frequently forgetting about things or procrastinating things, you don't really want it because you think about it. Let's use the dating analogy. When it's that bad chick, you're not going to forget or procrastinate reaching out to her after y'all linked up. Right. Rule 34 speaks on as time progresses, you may want to add or make tweaks, but don't let that discourage you or think that you are starting from scratch, right? So there's a difference between shiny object syndrome and adapting, right? So like I had my brother Miles ask me like about shiny object syndrome, and I told him the only exception really is when you switch to a vehicle that adopts the same skill set. So if I were able to, if I wanted to say, I'm done doing consecration and coaching and I'm going to move to public speaking, it's very similar because I'm speaking a lot with either vehicle. So it's really not like I'm starting from scratch. It's really me adapting. Maybe that is the sub vehicle that God wants me to use to get me to 100K a month, right? Similar, the purest form of this is like I used to do recruitment and music. In recruitment, I was on interviews all day, interviewing people, Zoom interviews. And with music, I was in front of a camera. When you think about consecration and coaching, I'm on coaching calls all day and I'm in front of a camera. So really, I wasn't starting from scratch, right? But I had the skill set of something. I just had to learn, little nuances within consecration to get better at it. But the foundation of coaching and consecration I had from different vehicles, right? That's what this rule talks about, just being able to adapt because your skill set might traject you in a different field, right? Depending on what your path is, right? Rule 35 Sphinx, don't think you will be happy after getting the desires on your list. The grind will be more difficult. I have a lot of conversations with my mentor, John Mark Steve, about this because I went to Miami, fellas, one time and I kicked it with him and I thought, man, the grind would be so easy if I got to wake up to this view, drive a Ferrari to the gym, eat at the finest restaurants at night. Like, man, the grind will be so easy. But in reality, it just gets tougher, right? I'm thinking about, that's why it's so important of adopting the identity now. I'm trying to adopt the identity of stress management and being a problem solver and being relentless of the cry that makes 100K a month before I make 100K a month. So that way, when I get there, it's easy. It's small talk to a giant. Fellas, I can tell you whatever you think it takes to be a 1% man, it takes so much more. I promise you. Right. So when you reach these objectives, don't think you get to a mountaintop and life is great. Nah, it's just new problems, new levels, new devils. Right. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Next, we get into lesson 4, fellas. Right. Oh, shit. Where we at? Lesson 4. Right. And a few takeaways I got from this lesson, fellas, is that this lesson is titled How to Set the Next Gauge for What You Want, right? And it speaks on belief, trust, and optimism will speed up the delivery of what you want. They are not absolutely essential, but they are not absolutely essential to get it eventually, right? So like what it's basically saying is that faith and hard work are like your right and left leg on running your way to success, right? And you can get to success with just one or the other, but it won't be as fast. Basically, that's what it's saying. Backing up your subconscious mind with confidence will make it will act more quickly and more confident. Backing up your subconscious mind with confidence will make it act more quickly, and confidence makes you act more accurately and effectively, right? So like I speak about this all the time. I don't know a successful individual that like wasn't confident, right? 48 Laws of Power talks about entering action with boldness. Every person that I know, they're always entering action like they know how to do it. And even if they don't, they understand that failure is a lesson, a redirection, and a correction, right? So they understand that the trials and tribulations I'm going through, I'll figure it out later, right? So they enter that with confidence. You must adopt that, right? I love this. A thing that is attempted with enthusiasm is already half done. So I speak on an analogy that if you have a problem, 50% of it is knowing that you have a solution to the problem already. This is like that in a different light, right? When you attempt something with enthusiasm that you've never done, it's already 50% done. You shooting a free throw, confidence that you will make it, it's already halfway done. The confidence was half the battle because you're gonna like figure it out with confidence versus I don't really know how to shoot a free throw. Does that make sense? Right? Now it gives a lot of rules in this lesson as well. Rule number 1 is words are the worker of the subconscious. Any mood or feeling which you encourage, entertain, or cherish to get itself externalized and materialized and spoken out loud. In the beginning, only say these words to yourself. If you want your standards done in the shortest amount of time, you must use these words to materialize them. This subconscious mind prefers words over any other form, right? So this is basically just saying, like, with me, I'll read it, and I'll get into this in a second because it talks about the importance of either reading, seeing, or saying. But like with me, I read it, but it just says to completely or to consistently repeat your affirmations of what you wish to accomplish, right? Do not force yourself to use second choice words and connections with what you want. Wait for the right ones to come to you and they will arrive. This rule also speaks about a method called the Q method, right? And it basically is when you have patience It's basically when you would have patients or students say every day why I'm getting better and better. So like this method, they did a case study and they just had students say every single day, or patients that were sick say every single day that they were getting better. And what they found was that people who had the attitude that they were getting better, like they got better using this method, right? So this is like all, and it was another method in another book that I read that connects with this about like how people were sick and the doctor gave them like a sugar pill, and just because like they thought they were taking a medicine that was making them better, they magically got better, magically, right? But really, fellas, it was the power of their subconscious mind, their feelings, and their internal thoughts, right? Where number three speaks about using the Q method, but not with verbiage. It speaks on the importance of using your own formula with your own words and your own phrases that fits the list of your desires. This rule is vital because your subconscious always knows what you really want and what you don't want, right? So basically, again, like figuring out, do you want to write it, say it, or read it, and as far as what you want to accomplish multiple times throughout the day, right? Rule number 6 speaks about it's important to figure out which formula and method of expression works best for you. For some people, it could be saying your affirmations. Again, for some people, it could be writing your affirmations. Lastly, it could be seeing your affirmations. In some way, shape, or form, fellas, you should be doing one of those three, if not all. Me, I read them, right? But I even think with me reading this back, I need to start saying them. I make 100K a month. I drive a Lamborghini Urus. I retire my mom. Like I read it every single day to be reminded of it, but maybe I need to write it more or say it more or just practice all three. I recommend that you do the same, right? Rule 8 speaks about to practice your formula every day as many times as you can, right? Without interfering with your regular activities, right? So you hear me speak a lot about habit stacking, right? When you're in the shower, when you're eating, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're walking to the car. It sounds so tedious, fellas, but repeat these phrases, man. And it will work wonders for you, right? It will work wonders for you. Rule number 9 speaks about whether you say it, think it, or feel it, or write it in some way, shape, or form. You need to start your day with these affirmations that you aspire to have. You should also do the same thing at night. Whether we say to ourselves at these specific times, whether it's in the morning or at night, you will produce some results immediately. If you do this for 30 days, you will find that the number of things that will arise to threaten you will decrease. You will be surprised about how many things that used to irritate you no longer affect you. So what this is basically saying, fellas, if you start your day and end your day with these affirmations, whether you write it, see it, or say it, in 30 days of doing it, 30 days straight, you will see that a lot less things threaten you and everything just starts to get easier and to flow. Try it. Don't take my word for it, fellas. Just try it, right? Rule number 10 speaks about anything that you're doing that is miscellaneous, right? So I speak about habit stacking again. Brushing your teeth, washing your face, tying your shoe, whatever the case may be. Those should be moments when you're repeating, thinking, feeling, or writing, or whatever the case may be, your affirmations. A lot of times, fellas, we scroll during that time or we listen to podcasts during that time, which is cool to a certain extent with the podcast. But I challenge you to replace those podcasts with just repeating your affirmations, or maybe you listen to yourself say your affirmations, and I promise you it will work wonders for you, right? Rule number 11 speaks about the importance of solely just thinking about getting the things you want. It speaks about solely just thinking about getting the thing you want, not if you're not likely to get it or not. It compares this to you trying to write down something while somebody is having a conversation with you, and that it's not effective to do things like multitasking. So this is an interesting example. If I'm talking to you right now, to get everything I'm saying to you, writing it down word for word wouldn't be the fastest way, because as you're writing, I'm saying do things and you're forgetting it. That is the equivalent to thinking about things that like you not getting the thing that you want. It's having a direct correlation of you getting the thing, right? Rule number 12 says, do not let anyone know your affirmations, because your subconscious mind is not focused on no one in the universe but you. Rely on God, not people. I couldn't agree more. A lot of times when you tell people your affirmations, like it just has a negative connotation on you achieving them, because like it gives them energy. They could ask questions. They could start doubting you. They could give you negative connotations that allows you to overthink. Just keep things to yourself. And this is with a lot of things, fellas. Like obviously I do content creation, so I tell you guys my objectives, but on an everyday basis, I don't really tell people in my personal life what I want to achieve, and this rule confirmed that for me, right? Rule number 13 speaks about the importance of speaking how you already have your affirmations, right? So like I wrote it down right here. I don't say I will make 100K a month. I say I am making 100K a month. Don't say you cry. Don't say I will retire my mother. Say I retired my mother, right? Don't say I drive a Lamborghini Urus. Or I will drive a Lamborghini Urus. Say I drive one, right? So I actually need to change this. When I'm looking at it now, it just says 100K a month, Lamborghini yours, retire my mom. I need to say, I make, I drive, I will. Like it's already mine. That's very, very important, fellas, right? Rule 14 states that basically to never say anything about yourself or others unless you are willing to see it come true and are willing to accept your full share of responsibility for it. Watch what you say. If you can't say something without it being destructive or harmful, don't say it at all. I mean, the Bible speaks about this, just the power of the tongue and what you say. Like, be careful what you say. Like, don't say, damn, I suck at content, or damn, I'm a dweeb, or damn, I'll never get the chicks that I want, because like it is so powerful and it has effect on your subconscious mind, your inner feelings, and your thoughts. And based on this module so far, you know the importance of that. So don't even fucking say it, brother. Right? Lesson number 5 is titled, fellas, How to Prepare for What You Want, right? And you must prepare for what you want. When you see an individual with a suit that fits perfectly, or a woman that has on a dress that fits perfectly, you can bet anything that they tried it on a few times before they look the way that they did today. That is the same way with everything in general conditions in any person's life. You guys know this, man, but good leaders are good repeaters. Anytime you see a person with the shit that you wish to acquire, don't think that they just got it. Very rarely is that the case. Very rarely are people, especially if you're the color of my skin, you're inherited with your wealth. They prepared for everything that they got, and that's why they have it, right? In this lesson, it breaks down the thesis that you may think you know people that have prepared for success and not achieved it, or people that have not prepared for it but achieved it. But it's literally impossible to know what's going on internally with those people. This chapter expresses that the people that achieve success prepare for it in some way, shape, or form. And the people that have not achieved success, even though it seems like they're really not preparing for it. All you know is what we see, and not all we know is what we see and not what goes on behind closed doors, right? So like there's two sides of the coin with this, right? You may see a friend and like a couple times throughout the week and think they work so hard and think, damn, why aren't they successful? But you really don't see how they think, what they do the hours that you're not there. Otherwise, they would have been successful, right? And then the opposite, like when you see an individual that is successful, don't think that it happened easily just based on what you see. You see the Lamborghinis, you see them chilling on yachts, you see them eating like shit and they jacked. You like, how did they get it so easy? But you don't see what they did to prepare for that externally and internally, right? So never judge on what you see from other people, because you have no idea what they did to obtain those things, right? Prepare for your desires, and sooner or later they will come. They may come tomorrow, they may come in 5 years, but surely they will come. As long as you're preparing for what you wish to acquire, fellas, it will come. Unless inspiration is backed by preparation, it doesn't matter. I couldn't agree more. All of this shit matters, but if you're not preparing for it with your external inputs and your internal inputs, which is what this book focuses on, you will never get it, right? Always be ready for what you want, right? And then it gets into some more rules, fellas, right? In this lesson. Rule number 1, study your craft as well as the individuals above you within your craft. By doing so, you are preparing yourself to go higher with when the psychological moment arrives. I set aside time every single week to rewatch John Mark's modules, right? In the mentorship that I'm in, right? I study every individual that I aspire to be like in specific realms, and you should do the same. Whether it's content creation, business, music, e-commerce, getting a physique, how a person speaks, how they treat women. Study those individuals. And psychologically, when you receive what you're supposed to receive, you'll be okay when the moment arrives. Like I consume so much self-improvement content and seen so much shit happen of why guys fall off, why guys take off, negative comments, positive comments, that when the same things happened to me, I was ready for it psychologically, right? Rule number 2, your hand must be trained, but your head must be trained more. If you want great things in life, your heart must be trained most of all. I love that. So your hand, AKA the action that you take, your head, AKA like you being smart with the action that you take, but your heart, AKA your faith, is more important than the action that you take and then how smart you take that action. AKA your faith is more important than anything, fellas, right? Rule number 3 speaks about seeking to create an atmosphere and attitudes that go along with the things that you wish to desire, right? It gives an example that if you want to be a minister, go to a missionary. Obviously, if you're watching this module 1% Academy, you've done that. You want to be a 1% man, you join 1% Academy. You want to get in shape, join a group at the gym. You want to learn how to sing, go join a choir mentorship. Just get in that environment, right? Familiar yourself with great personalities and study their life, right? Rule number 4 talks about as soon as your preparations are adequate and as soon as you have really done your part, the results will begin to come. Rule number 5 speak about don't try to win what you've won by waiting on luck. People on the outside looking in will say that a man got successful due to luck, but the same man will tell you that he made his own luck. Luck favors the prepared. All the luck in the world can't do much for the man that wasn't ready for it. The prepared man is always lucky. I love this. Once you start putting in work, fellas, the more lucky you get. The harder you work, the more lucky you get. I'm a firm believer that there's a meter in heaven of suffering, and the more that you suffer, the more God will bless you, right? The dweeb version of blessings is just luck. What motherfuckers call luck, right? You don't get luck unless you're prepared. The prepared man is always lucky. If you see somebody that just seems lucky, they went through a shit ton of pain and failures for them to get to the point of feeling lucky. They did so much volume that allowed them to get lucky, right? With me, you could say, oh, cry, your YouTube took off fast, you got lucky. But you didn't see when I was posting a video a day, 120 days straight, despite going to the gym, despite working 10-hour days, despite in a toxic relationship. You didn't see that. You just see the luck, right? So every person that you think is lucky, brother, they earn their luck, right? No matter, rule number 6 speak about, so no matter how unattainable your desires may seem, still prepare full throttle. All achievements are built in the mind first. I have a mind on fellas. Move as if you make 100K a month, drive a Lamborghini or retire your mother right now. It's already yours, right? Rule number 7 speaks about the more things will move more rapidly for you, the more diligently and intensely you think of the right thoughts, right? Gently and persistently turn thoughts and doubt of uncertainty away. So just any thoughts of doubt, uncertainty, can this happen? Got to get rid of it, right? Rule number 8, never go through the motions. Intensity is the key that will open up paths that you want. It is you and your God-given forces that create your world and the things that you want to happen to you. I couldn't agree with this more, fellas, right? I used to think discipline was doing the things you don't want to do, fellas. You hear me say that discipline is doing the things you don't want to do with enthusiasm, right? Sometimes I don't feel like recording these vids, but I show up with enthusiasm, right? That enthusiasm is important. Very little effort with the right spirit can accomplish wonders, but more effort combined with deep sincerity can accomplish the impossible. Let me say that again. I love this. Very little effort with the right spirit can accomplish wonders, but more effort combined with deeper sincerity can do the impossible, right? And it gives a term that, man, this was probably my favorite bar from the book, fellas. Don't confuse busyness for business. Don't confuse busyness for business, right? A lot of men, they do the high leverage task with no enthusiasm, or they have enthusiasm with the low leverage task. Nah, you got to have enthusiasm with the highest leverage task and the shit that you don't want to do on a day-to-day basis if you want to achieve the impossible. You know every single day when you wake up, fellas, the shit that you're supposed to do. And you know if you're showing up with enthusiasm. Only you know, right? Rule number 9 speaks about to never be in a hurry, right? This may mess up the quality in your preparation of what you wish to achieve. If you sacrifice stability to speed, you will have to go back sooner or later to make up for it, right? This basically means, like I got from this, don't shortcut the process, because you're just delaying the uncomfortability that you'll have to go through, right? Like the purest form of this that I think about is like when a new artist like is an industry plant, or they take off from a single, but they don't really have a lot of experience making music. Because once you make a good song, this is why Drake is so great, fellas. Like he continues to make more and more and more good albums, more good albums, more good albums. The issue with taking off too fast as like an independent artist, or just off your first single, is you don't know what it takes to maintain that greatness because you popped off your first gig, right? Which basically means, fellas, in like business terms, don't look for shortcuts, because like then you don't have the muscle and the knowledge to maintain that success, right? Rule number 10 speaks about when you recognize that you should do certain things in order to properly be prepared for what you want, do not hesitate to delay or postpone doing them as much as you refuse to do them. Let me read that again. When you recognize that you should not do certain things in order to properly be prepared for what you want, do not hesitate to delay or postpone doing them as much as you refuse to do them. Basically, fellas, don't be a fucking dweeb and procrastinate, right? Rule number 11 speaks about, this is the last one for this lesson. If you want something worthwhile, don't look for soft snaps. The job requiring little effort pays little, and the more preparation, the less competition. Love for a thing backed up by preparation can achieve anything. If you love the thing, you will enjoy the preparation. There will be times that the work isn't alluring, but for the most part, we should enjoy it. So all in all, fellas, I know I was stuttering a little bit. This talks about why it's important to love what you do. Why? Because when you don't love what you do, you will look for shortcuts, and then shortcuts equate to like like if I was just like, man, I just want to find a chick that can fuck, or I just want to find a girlfriend as fast as possible. The quickest thing for me to do would just pay for a prostitute, right? Or go to a girl off the street that was a dweeb and just bag her because I was handsome. But that easy way has cons because that's not a quality chick. Yeah, you got a girlfriend fast, but is that a girl that you wish to acquire? Versus if I looking for if I waited a little bit and searched and went dated multiple chicks looking for that quality chick, it may take a long time, but eventually I would find that quality chick. So this basically says, fellas, like when you're looking for shortcuts and shit that is easy, you're just making it harder for yourself long term. But when you really put in the work and on an everyday basis and you delay your gratification and you're patient and you really get in the reps, you're building a brand, right? So like I could easily just make 5-minute videos and post them, fellas, but I know that these hour-long videos, right, rather new viewers come watch my content or whatever the case may be, are going to come in handy one day because I understand it's like digital real estate. Right. So you must do the same with whatever you wish to acquire. Don't look for shortcuts. Put in the groundwork, fellas, and you will bear the fruits of it later. Right. Next, we get into lesson number 6, fellas, and the title of this lesson, fellas, is how to find the open doors to what you want, and it speaks on it speaks on different keys. Right. I think I messed up with my notes. Let me delete this real quick, fellas. Right. Okay. All right. So it speaks on different keys, right? And key number 1 is time, right? And whatever you want is waiting for you, and the door leading to it will always and forever be open. It doesn't matter what you have, it matters who you are. The doors of opportunity cannot be opened with knocks or pulls. They must be pushed open. Look for them, recognize them, push them open. You can stumble across the biggest chance of your life, but if you do not look out for it, you will never find it. And if it can do no good unless you fail to act upon it. So this reaffirms that you always have to know what you want, and then the right opportunities will come about. The purest form of this, fellas, is like, now that I know I want a yellow Lamborghini Urus, I always see Lamborghini Urus. I even saw a yellow one the other day. Now, there's not that all of a sudden more Lamborghini Urus were just manufactured and started driving around Dallas. It's that my subconscious mind knows that I want that, so it's on the lookout for it. So it's the same thing with success and things you wish to obtain. When you really want something, you will start seeing the opportunities for it. But when you don't want it, you won't see those opportunities, right? When I didn't want a Lamborghini Urus, I never saw them, right? I saw BMWs because that's what I wanted, right? It's the same thing with what you wish to obtain in life, right? You can, what we expect, what we prepare for, and what we prepare for, we look for, and what we look for, we will find. If you look for the good, you will find good. If you look for the bad, you will find bad. The good always find the good in everybody. The bad always finds the bad in everybody. Both good and bad qualities are all in us. When everything goes against you and it seems as if you couldn't hold on a minute longer, never give up, right? For that is just a place and around the time when things will turn around. You guys always hear me say the biggest breakthroughs come right after the most friction, period. Right? So when things aren't going well, never trust your perception of a positive or negative experience, because some of the most negative experiences can be the most beneficial. If you're going through an extremely rough time in your life, fellas, bingo, that could be the time that's going to propel you moving forward, and that eventually the time will the tide will turn, right? If you are doing your work this year no better than you were last year, you are not doing it as well. Like I told you guys before, you're never staying the same, you're getting worse. No matter how long you're working, you will have certain hours each day or week that belong to you. If you organize the time outside of the time you are office hours, aka at work, you can increase the ability and chances that and bank account of time wasters who never take advantage of the opportunity. So this just goes to what I say, fellas, of like, there's 160 hours in a week. If you're spending 0 hours outside of work, not focusing on the man you need to be, you'll be the same man in 5 years. What this is reaffirming for me is if you utilize that time correctly, you'll achieve what takes others years and months, right? Nothing in this world can hold you back if you use your time wisely. Using your time wisely keeps our minds on something worthy and keeps them away from trashy thoughts that soon infest in the idler's head, right? So like you guys always hear me say that white space on your Google Calendar is the devil, right? That's what I got this from. Always use your time usefully and make sure that it's aligned with your long-term objectives, and the sky's the limit for you. The second key that it talks about is spirit, right? And it says that you must approach every person, situation, and condition, damn near everything in your life with the right spirit. And it speaks on there's 4 different spirits, right? Spirit number 1, fellas, is a spirit of fairness, not trying to get anything that is not rightfully yours. Spirit number 2, fellas, is tolerance for everyone, regardless of what their faults may be. Spirit number 3 is spirit of kindness toward all mankind. And the last spirit is the spirit of truth, which is the best of which you are aware, right? The next key it speaks about is personality, right? So I love this one. Study your personality and develop it. Personality will open so many doors. Through an attractive personality, more quickly than by other means, you can arise to fame and fortune. Hard work never brings the greatest things in life. It helps and is one of the greatest essentials, but there are even greater importance in one of these, which is personality. I couldn't agree more, man. And what goes along with this is looks, which it gets to in a second, but like your personality can take you a long way. You need to figure out what the strengths of your personality are and focus on those. Me, I know I'm extremely charismatic and charming, and I use that to my advantage. I'm very convincing. I can speak with conviction. I'm very smooth when I speak with women. Like, I know all of these things in my personality, and I use them to my advantage. You must do the same, and it can direct you to be the minister you need to be in a specific realm more times than not, right? An attractive personality makes other people like us, want to be with us, promote us, and help us, right? Every individual you meet affects you in 1 or 3 ways within 5 minutes after they speak to you. And this is also true for every person that meets you, right? So in the first 5 minutes, fellas, what this law talks about, or lesson talks about, is within the first 5 minutes, they know this person irritates me, this person interests me, or I'm indifferent about this person, right? You need to ask yourself, what do other people admire about me, and capitalize it? And what effect are you having on people when you meet them? Because it's one of those 3 things. Are you interesting to those people, right? Are they indifferent about you, or do you irritate them, right? Number 4 talks about health, fellas. And ironically enough, as simple as it is, fellas, in order to be ready for opportunities when they come, you must have a strong body and plenty of physical energy. That's why the fitness must be the foundation for every single man, fellas. It's more than just looking apart, like biologically, like you got to be in great physical shape to be able to make 100K a month, crowd, to drive a Lamborghini Urus, crowd. You got to be mentally and physically sharp. As simple as that, right? Key number 5 talks about the subconscious mind and to guard your thinking at all times. Destructive thoughts has killed more people than all wars. I love this. Let me say that again, fellas. Destructive thoughts have killed more people than all wars. Your thoughts are doing more disharm to you than anything else, fellas. Worry wrecks more homes and ruins more happiness than all other inimical forces combined. Worry wrecks more homes and ruins more happiness than all inimical forces combined. That means worry is one of the worst things you can do, and it's ruining you, right? Make it your business during the next year to watch what you're thinking and make it constructive at all times. Be extremely intentional with your visualizations. Always picture yourself in position to in the position you wish to be, never in the present or in any other position of happiness, right? Key number 6 talks about the brain, fellas, and this is something I'm constantly working on, but learn as much as you can about the human brain and how it operates, right? Key number 7 talks about your individuality. I really love this one, right? Be yourself and believe in yourself. Worth, ability, character, and individuality are so rare and so valuable and so in demand that yours will be rewarded and fully quickly, more than you believe. Once you develop them, give the world a chance to see them. You are new, unique, and no one is like you or have ever lived, and no one will ever live like you again. When you are misjudged, criticized, or ridiculed, or misunderstood, just understand that every person who amounted to massive success was as well, right? So what I get from this, fellas, is 1, to be yourself because you are very unique, right? I'm not the best speaker. I'm not the smartest guy. I don't have the most knowledge, but my personality and who I am and my uniqueness is what makes me great in the realm of coaching and self-improvement. There's no cry, right? Also understand that when you are yourself, fellas, and when you're misjudged, you're criticized, or you're ridiculed, every person that amounted to massive success was as well. You think of LeBron James. Some people love LeBron. A lot of people hate him. You think of Andrew Tate. We love Andrew Tate. A lot of people hate him. You think of Elon Musk. Some people love him. A lot of people hate him. It's a fixed cost, right? Fixed cost, right? Number 8 talks about, it titles it key number 8, the right vacation, right? And it basically speaks on studying what you love to do. The subconscious mind never sleeps. Once you get into the work that you love, it will find opportunities for you. The reason that it's vital to love what you do to be successful is because your subconscious mind is full of the ability to give it to you immediately. Also, most people never show up with enthusiasm. So half of the battle of showing up with enthusiasm, fellas, is loving what you do. Now, I'm kind of conflicted with this because I think you could start loving what, like, you can create your passion. You can start off doing something just to get money and then later on realize that you really like it. But with this, basically, it speaks from the perspective of like, you have to love what you do because that will make it all easier to show up with enthusiasm, right? Number 9, how we spoke about personality, fellas. This speaks about your personal appearance with key number 9. Always take pride in how you dress, how you groom, your cleanliness, your taste. And fellas, this all has an effect on your thoughts and your feelings. So like, don't think like, oh, I already know this stuff. No, you don't, right? This is part of the reason you don't believe and you lack confidence in that everything in your life just goes to shit because you don't apply the shit that I'm telling you. Always take pride in the way you dress, how you groom, your cleanliness, your taste, and your genuine appearance, because your personal appearance is a walking advertisement. This doesn't mean dressing expensively. It could actually mean the opposite. You should dress neat and clean linen so quietly that no one is conscious of what you have on, but is aware subconsciously that you look good. Learn what colors, styles, and lines go best with your particular complexion, right? And then adopt that, right? Key number 10, fellas, talks about the 5 types, right? And I love this, right? And it speaks about your boss, your chief, your clerk, your president, your neighbor, your employee, your friend, your loved one. It doesn't matter who it is. They all have an effect on your life. This key talks about going into depth on human psychology because every person you meet is either holding you back or moving you forward. This book inspired me to read The Laws of Human Nature to understand people more, because all this is going to do, fellas, is allow me to understand humans better and understand, like, is this person really a hater, or is this person really neutral, or is this person really trying to help me, right? Lastly, fellas, we get into the final lesson, lesson 7, and this is titled How to Make Your Desires Materialized, right? So what I got from this chapter, fellas, is that the farther you push yourself in life, the easier it becomes to get success, right? We face new problems and bigger ones, but they are easier to solve than the first ones because we have developed. This is why successful people become more successful. I did a whole fucking group call on this, fellas, right? A lot of times, fellas, you're in the hardest phase of life, right? That gym transformation was the hardest phase of life. Although me getting to these financial objectives is tough, it's not as hard as that. Why? One, because I didn't have any proof of concept. I didn't have any proof that if I do something for X amount of time, it can work. Now I do with the gym transformation. 2, what this talks about is that many humans never reach massive success because they believe their whole life will be like their first 0 to 32 degrees, but it's not like that. Success compounds and gets easier along the way. The greatest secret of the successful is that the greater number of successes, the easier it becomes to get success. In other words, the greater the worth, the easier the surprise. Right. So the higher you get on the totem pole, yes, new levels, new devils, but the higher you get, like, you ever see, like, hear people say the more money you make, the easier it is to get more money. Like that's the pure definition of that. The price is never bigger than the prize, aka the work is never harder than the satisfaction of the fruits of your labor, right? Then it gets into, speaking about, like, how most humans don't really want riches, health, and success. They just wish for those things. What they really want most of all is what they want with their time, for things to be easy, for them to eat what they want to eat, and to be free of responsibilities. And that's why most humans are mediocre. Your subconscious knows what you want most, and they will always give you the things you want most in life. So you may think that you want this 1% lifestyle, brother, but you really just want a chick that you can fuck on every single day and to just lay up and relax all day. And that's why you'll remain mediocre. Your subconscious knows what you really want, brother. You don't really want to seek pain and be the man that you have to be. And that's why you'll never get the things that you think that you want, brother, because you don't really want them. You want comfortability. I want uncomfortability because I know on the other side of that is returning my mother job and letting them in yours, and making $100K a month, right? Another strange thing about this is that the higher up you get, the more help the world gives you, right? And the lower down, the harder it kicks, right? So I found myself, fellas, the higher I get, the more people want to help me and the easier shit gets and the more resources I have. But you have to go through that 0 to 30 degrees to get to this level, right? A pure example of this, fellas, is like, I'll give this cologne analogy, right? When I was a broke dweeb, I used to go to like Macy's or Nordstrom's and try to get free samples of like the top colognes because I couldn't afford buying them. And they would always extend you with giving me free samples. But recently I went over there and I bought a Bond number 9 and it was like a $600 cologne. And when I bought that, they gave me like 12 free samples to take home with me. Why? because then they knew that I was buying. So they wanted to convince me that I would buy more. AKA, fellas, now that I put in the work to buy, now they want to give me free samples. But I'm using cologne and samples analogy, but it's to everything in life. Once you put in a certain kind of amount of work and you got results, people will just flock to you and want to help you and just give you free things, right? I heard Kevin Hart talk about that. He was like, I got rich and everything started being free. Restaurants started wanting me to eat at their restaurant for free. People started being inviting me to events for free. That's how it is, fellas. So don't think like life is just always going to be oh so hard when you in this stage. Like it's not, man, right? Give up the little things now and it pays dividends for tomorrow. Successful men and women, whether they realize it or not, are only cashing in on their past efforts, sacrifice, and hardships, right? Fellas, it's 10:30 a.m. right now. And I have the luxury of just recording a video, and this video is potentially gonna like bring me in some income. It wasn't always like that though. I used to have to wake up and go to a job or that I was miserable in, right? But the reason I'm at where I'm in today, like you guys always hear me say, the man you are today is based on the habits, the actions, and the ideologies that you were doing 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. This validated that for me, fellas. Take care of yourself today, and then tomorrow will take care of you, right? So this is one of my favorite reads, fellas. Like when I was preparing for doing this module, I was like, man, I got to reread this or at least make like these my daily reads, which is something I haven't done. But the daily reads for this will be attached, man. Watch this module back as many times as you need, fellas. Good leaders are good repeaters. You don't need more information. You just need to be reminded of the information you already know. A lot of that is just repetition of hearing it, man. But I love y'all boys. I'll see y'all on the next module. Peace.